Happy Twitter Rug Day, everyone.
We are so back to getting rugged. Oh my God, I just watched Andy's post. I'm literally crying. I'm so shook with how funny that was. I had no idea that was available on the internet. Jesus Lord. Oh, I did the fucking thing where I clicked the space and it started it again. Fuck. Fucking hate. If anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, there's a new bug on the PC version of Spaces of Twitter, where literally if you click not just the Start Now button, which is the obvious thing that you should avoid doing, if you click any part of the blue and you're logged into the host account, it instantly starts it on your PC. It's wild, and apparently gives you a hot mic, which makes it even worse. Lems is saying he's having some trouble with the audio. How is everybody else on the panel? Do we sound loud and clear?
Loud and clear, brother.
Yeah, we're Gucci.
Thank God for that. We needed a win, boys. All right, we're gonna give it another 60 to 120 seconds, and then we'll get going. In my shambles that I've been in all day, unfortunately, I started the space on my wrong phone, and the other one that's in the Wolves DAO is also inaccessible right now. So if Mr. Payton's out there, jump up in the Wolves DAO account, because you know the Barky boys got to be represented. Love the boys and girls. Mr. Paul Bettner is so back, baby.
What's up? I'm so back. For a second, it was quiet there, and I'm like, did I break something? Because I came on stage and I couldn't hear anything. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me back, Sam.
Dude, I'm so glad to have you again. How's your back feeling, by the way, man?
It's better. It's better. I got an injection, and I do recommend the injections. It works for a little while at least. So
What, to get cortisone or what?
Yeah, I think it was some form of that between L3 and L4. I've just, I was an engineer for most of my life, so I've just wrecked my back and I have this bulging disc thing.
Oh, no. But cortisone feels a little downright blissful, you know?
It is. It has some weird side effects. Like I had this like restless leg, nervous twitch thing that was for a few days, but that went away too. So now I'm just feeling better. Love it.
Can I tell the story about what you did with P90X?
If you want to. I don't know.
I'll save that for another time.
Okay. Yeah. How I was in the hospital for 2 weeks during the launch of Words with Friends because I over-exercised and shut my kidneys down. Yeah, that story.
He goes hard, ladies and gentlemen.
That one was an instant classic.
It's true.
That's what Katie said.
Yikes.
It's true.
All right, well, on that note, let's get kicked off. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your hats and your hearts, because the stage is set for a soloist who swapped 6 strings for the Silicon Symphony. This maestro who morphed melodies into megabytes, the rock star reborn as the ruler of the blockchain beat. From headbanging and dive bars, he's taken the leap from the limelight of live gigs to lighting up the ledger with allure as legendary as his licks. It's Ledger Zeppelin, it's Ram Halen, it's the commander of cards and the prince of parallel, it's Koji.
Wow, Sam, thanks for the intro, man. All I have to do is rile up the Hearthstone community for the to get the top intro on this show. I love it.
Oh my gosh, can we talk about? I want to hear all about it, man. I hope we can talk about that.
I actually,
sorry, I know you're tired of it, but like, but it's just, it was a lot that you guys went through, and you've navigated it really well. So anyway, but
no, I'm just kidding. I'm happy. I'm happy to talk about it. I'm just tired because Sam. I don't want to recycle content between your shows. I don't know how many listeners follow in between show to show, but
I'll make it a quick fire for you guys. And if you guys get spicy and want to keep going, maybe so be it. But we'll give it a quick 5. When he's not basking in the retro glow of his beloved GameCube, you might find him dabbling in Dota 2, where he battles it out with a dedication that's, well, decidedly average. But hey, in a world of esports athletes, There's something wonderfully relatable about a gamer who can embrace being the middle of the leaderboard with pride. But in the market, this is no mere mortal of mediocrity. He's a titan of trade, a strategist of sales, a visionary of value creation who goes from the heat of the fire in the heart of the boardroom. I did not write this well. I was mostly focused on the GameCube parts. Then home again to the hum of his GameCube. It's the mastermind with the Midas touch, the golden GameCube god. It's Jerry Singer.
All right, dude. Only one of two things are going to happen right now. I'm either going to fucking run to your house and kick down your door, and I fucking can, all right? That door would not hold up against me. We're going at it. Or you end this space, and we go 1v1 Pudge mid right now. You take your pick.
In the world of esports, Jerry is one of them. That was great.
Yeah, take your pick.
All I'm saying is, you deciding that Pudge mid is the one real testament to skill in Dota 2 is exactly why I put that in there.
Dude, hey, you and Andy both go down. You guys don't want to see my Pudge.
There's a third option here where you just make that my intro from now on.
All right. Well, we'll get to yours right now. With the heart of a hacker and the soul of a strategist, the keystrokes of a king, he's not just a solutions engineer, he's a business development behemoth, transforming the terrain of tech within our beloved Web3 gaming. With Stardust, he's changing the game for custodial wallets and user acquisition, and legend has it, each strand of his mustache is a ledger, and when he ponders a problem, his mustache molds the solution. So without further ado, behold the architect of infrastructure, the Sultan of Stardust, the whispering whisker wizard. It's Andy.
Oh, barely got through that
fucking thing where I clicked the space and it started it again. Oh. God damn it! I fucking hate Twitter. PTSD. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so that was I actually don't want Jerry's. I want mine. Thank you. I'll hold on to it.
All right, glad you enjoyed it. Up next, he's the Polar Prince, turning the chilling challenge of Web3 game development into a winter wonderland of wins. From Electronic Arts, where he reigns supreme as the head of partnerships, to the icy peaks of innovation as the head of gaming at Avalanche, intertwining the threads of gaming with cutting edge of blockchain technology and crafting groundbreaking subnets. With a keyboard as his shield and a mouse as his mace and a blockchain as his battlefield, let's give a frosty welcome to the apex of the Avalanche, the Frost King of Fantasy Realms, the Titan of the Tundra. It's Ed Tang.
Thank you for having me. Again, it's great to be here with everybody. I always tell people this beats having a real job.
I couldn't agree more. That's why I do it all the time. Great to have you, as always, Ed. And before burning bright in the Exborg expanse, this exciting entrepreneur excelled in the fintech frontier. He founded startups with the finesse of a fox flirting with a fortune. And on top of that, this man's a water polo wizard, a splashing sensation, a bona fide buoyant badass, having secured 3 water polo national championships. On the virtual velodrome of Rocket League, he's a grand champion, a turbocharged titan, turning aerial acrobatics into goal scoring into an art form. Now he's revolutionizing the intersection of esports and Web3. Welcome to the panel, the Xborg expert, the Rocket League ruler. It's Connor.
Yo, that intro is so hype. How do you even reply after this? I didn't even know what to say. But it's great to be here. Thank you so much, Sam. Super bullish on Gamified, and yeah, excited for today's episode.
Thanks so much for coming, brother. It's great to have you. And for anybody in the comments, too, I've got some merch boxes to give away, and I've got some Shrapnel and Stardust Web3 Gaming is going to be big, quadruple XL hoodies. So drop some comments. Tell me what your favorite intro is. Give us a retweet. Help us get those listeners that might have fallen off whenever we got the space rugs that Andy keeps playing the clip from. But up next, positioned at the pinnacle of play, he personifies the pure power of pioneering spirit. A prodigy who propelled Age of Empires to popularity, this paragon of pixel perfection pivoted to plant his prowess in the panorama of mobile marvels, producing the phenomenon Words with Friends. Only 500 million downloads, by the way. Now, as Wildcard waits in the wings, this patriarch of programming prepares to plunge into the potential packed province of Web3, promising another pioneering project. Please put your hands together for the Prince of Pixels, the Bard of Bytes, a true titan in the tumultuous tides of tech. With the wisdom of a sage and the insight of a seer, he turned the modest musings into a monumental milestone. It's the prolific, the polite Paul Bettner.
You are such a king, Sam. I'm so glad to be back. I've missed you guys. I'm so just love being here, seeing all y'all's lovely faces, all my favorites on the panel today. I can't wait. Thanks for having me.
You guys think Paul is nice now? Wait until you see a DM from him when he says, "I can't make it to Gamified." It is the most apologetic, like heartwarming thing. It's like, it's my favorite part of the week every time, and I tell nobody that they're allowed to book meetings over Gamified, but they did it anyway, and I can't. And I'm just like, oh, Paul.
We
The
need
fact
a
that-
It's true.
we need a
I literally
Paul
have
GPT so I can use
I
that to
literally
write
have
emails.
four calendar blocks on my that overlap each other on that set, and still somehow people miss it. But yeah. Anyway,
the
I'm so glad I'm here
audacity.
again.
I
The
appreciate it, man.
audacity. It's all Katie's fault. No, it's not.
Damn it, Katie.
Damn it,
She
Katie.
helps me protect it.
The audacity. Emanating from the electric echelons of Enterprise, the enigmatic enforcer of our exhilarating exhibition here at Gamified, emerging from the shadows of Soul skyscrapers, dominating domains of dough with dynasties. He's the visionary of a vendetta for victory over vainglory. Yet this paragon of profit, pivoting with the precision of a panther prowling its prey, peeling off pinstripes of power for the path of philanthropy, donning the dual daggers of determination and devotion. This isn't just a man, he's a myth, molten in the murky margins of the metropolis, melding might and mercy. He's the founder who cannot be bought, and he's the titan of taboo. It's Senjin.
What's up, everyone? Sam, you're on fire today with the intros, man. You're all healed up and ready to go, eh?
I'm so back from GDC, dude. My taxes are like 95% done too. And it's my birthday on Saturday. My birthday gift to myself is that I'm done with my taxes. So as long as I can cross the threshold, oh, we're so back. We're so back. But thanks for noticing, Sinjin. Good to have you back as always, man. And from 360s on the slopes to 360 no scopes, meet the supreme head of community and partnerships at Shrapnel, a commander of camaraderie in the chaotic cosmos of Web3 gaming. Having braved over 300 digital domains, his appetite for adventure is unmatched. A true glutton for the grind and the glory that comes from pioneering the pixelated. And by the way, he steered the sporting goods arm of a $14 billion company, and now he's riding or dying along with us in Web3 gaming. So I'm introducing yet again the Sultan of Shred, the sharpshooter of Shrapnel, and the undisputed king of controllers. It's Dub.
Dude, you're on a whole nother level, Sam. Holy shit. The GameCube intro for Jerry was freaking fire. I love Jerry now because of that intro. It's fucking nuts, dude. And I'm like, this week is so freaking awesome. I'm on 4 hours to 2 hours of sleep every single night because these damn parallel tournaments and mints at my weird times. But I freaking love it, dude. We're in a new era, it feels like, and it's feeling good.
I love Dub's enthusiasm. He's like, I fucking love getting 2 hours of sleep a night. This is incredible. Oh, it's awesome, dude. Pumps me up. And
I've
I
always
wish
loved you, Dub.
Vidar was supposed to be here, but he's currently in China somewhere. And I wrote an absolute banger for him that I wish I could do, but he's here. He's not here, so he's dead to me as usual. And up next, when somebody pinned up Andy,
Nice,
God
Andy.
damn it! I love and I hate Lems for doing that. When conversations convolute or dialogues derail, he's the beacon that banishes the darkness, the maestro who makes meaning materialize from the mire. And me, very embarrassed. It's the lexicon luminary, the literary leviathan, the pint-sized powerhouse of prose and poetry. It's weighing in at 2.4 pounds. It's the Little Lizard legend. It's Lems. Sorry, I got distracted.
GM, I couldn't help myself. I think Andy wins MVP of the show even before we actually do the show. So if anyone didn't see that, you should definitely watch that. It's pretty fucking hilarious that you spat that out within like 20 minutes of Sam fucking it up. So GG, Andy.
I think Andy might be a TikToker because the fact that he was like, I'm ready to do choreography and line up the thing, and he had the audio and he downloaded, like, pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
I've never done that before. I'm like literally opening up Zoom, making a new meet. I downloaded a Chrome extension that can get audio from a Google tab, and then I hopped into iMovie on the Mac, and I fucking just ripped it. And I was impressed myself actually.
Wow. Stardust better give you a raise before you decide to pursue your career as a content creator instead. Wow, I'm very impressed. And let's salute and celebrate the sublime, the spectacular, the sovereign, the supreme substrate of our stellar saga. It's the official blockchain of Gamified. You know it's Avalanche. With its spectacular speed and scalability, skillfully simplifying the the sophisticated science of subnets, allowing avant-garde architects and game gurus to craft their cutting-edge creations. It stands as a steadfast sentinel in the storm, driving a dawn of decentralized gaming with a dynamic, durable, and decidedly different approach. And built on Avalanche is Shrapnel, a marvel of mayhem meticulously manifested that isn't just redefining the rules of the FPS arena. It's an extraction shooter that's tearing through the terrain of traditional gaming. What makes Shrapnel a seismic shift in the shooter genre is the pleasure of gearing up for glory with goods that go beyond the game, where winning means weaving your worth into the very fabric of the future Web3 gaming world. So if you're ready to dive into a domain where your daring deeds are duly rewarded and your strategies stretch beyond the screen, with every extraction elevating your estate, then it's time to take aim at Shrapnel, the official game of Gamified, which is powered by Stardust. Stardust is lighting the way with its wallets as a service offering, a marvel of modern technology that melts away the mayhem of managing digital assets, making every user's experience as smooth as silk. This isn't just convenience, by the way, it's revolution, redefining the user experience of your game with the touch of a button. This is where projects pivot from potential to powerhouse with unparalleled prowess of Stardust wallets and user acquisition alchemy. Thank you to Stardust for being the official infrastructure of Gamified. And with that, I can't wait to jump in to Bullish or bullshit. We got 3 different headlines here. I'm curious what people think. BloodLoop hits 500,000 signups for their Play to Airdrop campaign. Nyan Heroes reports 100,000 players downloaded and played their game in pre-alpha on the Epic Game Store. And Paleo from Xterio says they have 2.3 million in their first week on Xterio chain. And I'm pretty sure this was like 3 or 4 days in, so that might not even be an entire week worth of numbers. Bullish or bullshit? I asked the panel. Andy with Stardust has the hand up first.
BloodLoop, Stardust client. Nyan, Stardust client. Bullish as fuck.
What about the third one? What about Paleo?
I love Jeremy Horn and Xterio, so also bullish. Let it ride.
Let it ride. All right. Tagging in Lems next.
All right, I have a somewhat non-answer because I'm going to say somewhat bullshit, but also we're so back because I saw Sparksy tweet earlier how we have Web3 games that get more impressions and likes on tweets than Call of Duty, which I think is pretty hilarious and just shows how much we play the game with metrics in Web3. Having said that, I don't think all these numbers are completely fake by any means. I just think they're inflated. Like Nyan Heroes had crazy mind share over the last, I don't know, month that they did this play to airdrop thing, all over socials. Also, though, a lot of people I know were all playing the game and grinding the game. So they had a ton of real players. I just feel like the metrics are a little bit inflated.
2 things can definitely be true. Dub from Shrapnel tagging you in.
Yeah, dude, hella bullish on it. I'm stoked to see our genre, our niche defining itself, figuring it out, having a player base, having multiple things going on with high numbers and all this stuff. Overall, it's what we've been expecting to see and what we'll continue to see. Play to airdrop and all that stuff is clearly like a very interesting marketing strategy that's working for a lot of partners.
Yeah, well said. And there's some great comments already. Icy says, can we get some happy early birthdays to Sam? I appreciate you, Icy. Seabass says, Andy is updating his rates as we speak. And Caesar Martinez says, my favorite intro is the one I haven't even heard yet. It amazes me how we always continue to grow and make them even more epic. I try, man. Thank you. Connor from Exporg, over to you.
Yeah, I think it's mostly bullshit. I think the Nine Heroes one was super cool because they were actually like playing the game to be a part of it. I think a lot of projects are having to list on exchanges at the moment, and unfortunately, what that means is we have to really you see everyone doing like social airdrop farming and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that essentially equates to players and for your game, but perhaps signups for sure. But this is kind of just the game we're playing at the moment.
Great point. And just to refresh the topic one more time, we're talking about BloodLoop hits 500K signups. Nyan Heroes reports 100,000 players on Epic. And Paleo says they have 2.3 million in their first week on Xterio chain. Mr. Paul Bettner tagging you in.
I agree with that take. I'm trying to these days. I'm trying to filter out the noise from farming campaigns from actual like affiliation and love for a particular game. Like it's just especially with the launch of brand new farming campaigns, like people tend to get a sense that like that's that at the beginning of those campaigns is where the most value is going to be extracted. So there's like a rush of people that are trying to jump from one farming campaign to the next. It's actually really, it's honestly, it's hard. It's hard to build in the space, see that happening, and be like, okay, wait, but that's not actually adding any real value to our product. Like that can generate some short-term numbers, but it's not. And in a way, it can actually be a negative thing because you're sort of like throwing away that initial golden cohort of attention on users who are there for the wrong reasons. So I'm pretty down on that generally. And don't get me wrong, we've had plenty of discussions internally about ways that we might consider doing a similar thing or how we think about it. But we always like for Wildcard, we always loop back on like, what kind of folks do we want in our community long term, and as you guys know, like we want those to be Web3 users, but we want them, we want our users here for the right reasons and to stick around long term. So a campaign that is centered on just farming initially and has no real way of retaining those users long term, that feels like a waste. Whereas on the other hand, it's okay, I think, to get users there because they think that's what they're there for, as long as it's like a Trojan horse and you really are going to be able to stick those users around because they're going to fall in love with the game itself. And I just wanted to say, like, of these three numbers, actually the number that most impressed me over the last week was pixels trending on the Steam charts for DAUs. I don't know if you guys saw that, and it's specifically on my mind because I got to meet Luke, the founder of Pixels, for the first time. Katie and I met him virtually. And had a call with him, and I was just so impressed. I hadn't had a chance to connect with him before, and now I think I understand why they're having the success they do. I think he's thinking about it the right way, and in terms of, I guess it's probably his background, but just thinking about not just reach, which is that first thing that we think about is how to get, but retention. How do you keep those users there? And then of course revenue, which is how do you monetize them? Because that's the real place in which you're measuring whether somebody loves you or not, is whether they're willing to come out of their pocketbook for you. And Pixels is just doing insane numbers. So that to me is a bullish signal for this last week.
I've got one really quick double click for you, Paul. Would you say that this is something like might be able to use a heuristic or mental model from the same way that people approach investing or VC raises, where it's like, well, if you raise 20 million at the start and then you do a down round next, it ends up kind of dooming the project? Is it similar in these play to airdrop campaigns where it's like, congrats, you got 500,000 players, but then the next time you go to do your next alpha test or whatever, and you're not able to drive those same kind of numbers because you don't have the reward system in place, it's sort of like a down round where it's like, well, what the hell happened? You had 500,000 players and now you have 50,000. Like, do people?
It's 100%. It's even worse because you really only get, like, in the world of investment. Like, I don't think this is as true, but in the world of games, you kind of only get one shot at making a first impression. And if that first impression is a bunch of users that are here to farm that thing and they're not here for any other reason except to farm that thing. And I don't know in the case of those, like, I wasn't part of those particular farming campaigns, so I can't speak to how it felt to be a part of that community. And maybe some of those folks did stick and they were there for that reason. But the danger or the concern is that once you've made that first impression, then people are like, well, that's what your product is all about. And they're like, cool, I got what I needed and I'm not coming back for anything else. And you only get one shot at that in games. So
This reminds me of a conversation that I had with Koji recently. There was a tweet that was going out by Vader, who's somebody I really respect in the industry, and he was saying Parallel with their 500K tournament was actually making a mistake by not making it like 5 million, which would have only been a small fraction of what Prime is worth, and that they should be going all out for this marketing campaign. But Koji and I talked privately, and it was interesting to hear his perspective on exactly why he didn't want to do that yet. And a lot of it had to do with what you're talking about, Paul, where
oh yeah, you can hear Koji and Parallels talk about this all the time. Every time they talk about any kind of incentive campaign, they're always just talking about the right outcome of that, which is retaining real players and trying to grow the ecosystem for the real game. And that's not, I mean, I think that's why we all love Parallel, why we all love Shrapnel. It's like that's the you can hear that when you connect with that team. You can hear that that's what they're trying to create, that's what they're there for. And I think we just all need to be listening carefully to that because it may be that that a particular project knows, like, okay, but we have to like turn up the hype and whatever because we're trying to have this moment be successful. But like I said, if you do that too much, then the message becomes all about that, and then it's sort of like too late, I think, in a way.
I'm sorry to go out of order here in the hands, guys. I want to send it to Koji real quick to follow up on that, and then I'd love to go to Ed Chang and Jerry.
Man, Paul just totally disarmed me there because I was just going to say you heard it from Paul's mouth. The only way that users show love is by giving him money. So, there's that. But no. Honestly, I think that like whatever. I mean, I hate to be the guy who keeps doing this, but I think that like what everyone's saying here is completely correct, right? getting eyeballs on the project is good, and I think that if you think of these numbers as marketing, then sure, it's like you that's positive. It's garnering you more attention if people are talking about it, but like the numbers themselves may not actually mean anything because like at this point the number of signups that we have on our website is like astronomical. But I'll tell you right now that it's not a one-to-one to the amount of people playing the game, right? Like we have a bunch of people because we exist in this space that sign up to the website so that they can have an account so that they can, I don't know, get in on the next pack drop or whatever, and like aren't gonna actually participate in the game. Now I mean some of that does convert to dollars, so I guess they do love me in the end. But ultimately, yeah, I think that you can use it for hype, but like those numbers actually probably don't mean much in the end.
Yeah. So on that point, dude, what I should have said, I should have clarified is the thing that matters most is someone losing money. This is a weird thing to say in Web3, but when it comes
Oh,
to delivering great entertainment, what the ultimate way you measure that is somebody is willing to lose $5 or $10 or $50 in exchange for entertainment.
yeah.
Or and there's another way to measure that, which is that they're willing to give you their attention and with no expectation of return. But giving money or attention in expectation of for just because I'm here because I hope that turns into more money, like that is a type of user, but that's a very different type of user than the kind that we're trying to entertain with our products.
I'm just busting Paul's balls because I was in San Francisco and I didn't get to see him once. So
Wow.
What even happened, dude?
I
I
know
don't even know
we
how
just
that.
kept
It's all my fault, I'm sure.
no
I'm
no
sorry.
no we just kept missing each other. It was like I mean maybe this is a Canadian cartoon, but it's a very pokeroo moment where just like every time I appeared, he was gone and vice versa. I just didn't
Yeah,
miss him.
seriously.
You guys did miss each other by like 5 minutes on Alpha Night. Real quick to the comments, AE says he's a little less active today. One of our most loyal homies out there. He says a family member's in the hospital. I just wanted to say, AE, we love you, man. Hope the family's good, and thanks for still tuning in. We appreciate you tremendously, man. I'm going to send it over to Ed Chang real quick to refresh the topic. BloodLoop hits 500K signups on their Play to Airdrop campaign. Nyan Heroes reports over 100K players on their demo, and Paleo says they have 2.3 million on their chain in the first week. Ed Chang, your thoughts, bullish or bullshit?
I think the first thing I would say is I think I agree with Lems, who was saying we probably need a third option here, which is like it's neither, right? Because that's how I feel right now. Even the three examples that you just mentioned, like I believe for BloodLoop, these are kind of signups to get ready for the Play to Airdrop campaign, right? And the wallets created for each person there. Obviously, we love that team. We're bullish on the game. That's different than Nyan Heroes, where they have it sounds like 100K players. I don't actually know what the Paleo AI 2.x million number is. But I do think that we just need to figure out, like, does this mean number of accounts or players in the actual game? Does this mean actual wallets transacting? If it's the latter, is that people who are transacting tokens or NFTs or doing other on-chain actions, right? And when I was at EA, I was on the esports side, and I remember at an E3 RIP, we actually met with a bunch of the esports folks at other publishers like Blizzard, Riot, and Riot had called this meeting because they're like, guys, everyone is misrepresenting their viewer numbers, and it's not good for them as like the market leader, right? And so we all like got to a point where we're like, hey, let's agree on what it was average minute audience, and that was the ultimate metric that we all agreed to kind of try to abide by, right? And I think eventually Web3 gaming probably needs something like an App Annie or someone else to like almost be the arbiter of this, so that all of these stats are standardized. Because right now, to other people's points, everyone is just trying to one up each other with these top line numbers because they're trying to impress the exchanges. They're trying to kind of pump these numbers, trying to get more people in the door. They're trying to get investment from a chain, whatever that is, just because there are so many games launching. And hey, that's typical user behavior in Web 2. People do that all the time as well. But it's just something that as the space matures, I think we'll see more of that, right? And I do think that as more games have a longer time horizon and studios who do have that patience, I think you'll see them act in the best interest of the long tail versus a quick headline. Because I think, like Paul was saying, like, it's not actually always the best thing to report this massive number up top, because then on the back end, you're like, ooh, how do we do some mental gymnastics and shift things around here to come up with something that feels like it's up and to the right? So Yeah.
Like X does every week right now. Sorry.
Great stuff, Ed. And unfortunately, I just wanted to let you know, Connor says he can't hear Ed Chang or Stardust. Bearish on X, FFS. And then Matthew Buxton in the comments also says there's so much smoke and mirrors in the space. It's not even the project's fault. To make a TGE on a good exchange, you need to fake the numbers. Maybe an unfortunate reality there. Jerry, I'm sending it to you next.
Yeah, I think it's both, right? It's both bullish and it's bullshit as well. I have no doubt that BloodLoop has 500K signups. I have no doubt that Nyan Heroes had 100,000 people play the game. I have absolutely no doubt that 2.3 million wallets are transacting on the Xterio chain right now. And those are all good things because those are really impressive numbers for these teams, right? But with all of the above, right, it's very easy to just create a second email and sign up to a BloodLoop, right? It's very easy to just to use that second email and then go farm Nyan Heroes dailies again, right? Because they weren't that hard to farm. It took like 30 minutes a day. It's extremely easy to just create a new wallet, send $3 and tokens to it, and transact on a chain, right? So they are bullshit, but it's a bullish thing, and I think the thing that makes me the most bullish about it is one thing that like Nock talks about this a lot. I talk about this a lot, but like the best way as a consumer to win Web3 is to play the Web3 game, right? And I think this cycle you're seeing more projects start to play the Web3 game to their benefit to get things like a tier 1 listing or to get things like more exposure and to use more impressive numbers, right? Is the way to go about that. So I think we're all hypocrites if we tell the individual to play the Web3 game, but we don't tell the project to play the Web3 game, because what's going to be best for both parties is everybody starts to play the Web3 game, right? That's what we're here for. To not do it is a little bit silly to me. So that said, is it the most organic thing? And I'd say a very good example of something that was organically done was the Bornless and their launch and their wishlist campaign has been incredibly successful, right? Those numbers aren't as high as some of these numbers that we're talking about. And, at the end of the day, you can only play this game of misdirection for so long until you have to deliver at some point of that, right? These teams all know that. I know all three of these teams super well. They're all smart enough to know that there is going to hit a point where that you can't play misdirection anymore. So yeah, it is bullshit. Does it make me incredibly bullish? It does.
Yeah, great points all around. I think that mutual incentive alignment is always going to be the way to go, but it's so hard to balance. That was another thing Koji and I talked about recently, is just how difficult it is to balance the tokenomics around any of these kinds of reward systems. Nock, I'm going to send it over to you for the first time.
Yeah, back from the underworld here. I actually agree with a lot of what Ed brought up, but I think the real issue here is threefold, really. There's one, a reporting issue. We really don't understand how or why people are reporting things certain ways. We've touched on this a number of times across a number of different shows, but you can report on effectively the same metrics in 5 or 6 or 7 different ways, depending on how creative you get with it. And none of them are really lying, especially if you disclose the way in which you're doing that reporting. The second is that last piece there. We don't know how these teams are choosing to report these things. So all of these metrics at face value, absolutely, I believe. I think that they're all probably what is actually happening on chain, the number of signups, the number of wallets. As Jerry mentioned, there are a number of ways that can kind of be fudged with, and maybe it's not 2.3 million unique users, but it's definitely 2.3 million wallets. That's 100% believable. The last part is the environment in which we're in, and the macroeconomic conditions that surround the Web3 ecosystem right now. We talked about this a lot last week and the week prior. There are a lot of teams who are saying, I wish I had raised more money in 2020 or in 2021 when it was really easy to do so. There's an opportunity now for a lot of these teams to raise really easy money. And the way that they do that is by maybe embellishing some of those numbers. You talk about incentive alignment, Sam. Well, the people who are participating within that ecosystem, the people who actually own the NFTs, or even better, if they got into token sales or private rounds, well, they're actually aligned with the fact that these teams are maybe embellishing some of these numbers, because the higher those numbers look, the better their assets look, the more money they're making. They're aligned entirely with these teams. The reality of it is, in 2 or 3 years, we won't care if a game like BloodLoop is successful. We won't care that 3 years ago in 2024, they maybe screwed around a little bit with their numbers and the reporting, because they're going to be there. But if they don't do that now, and they don't raise a ton of money, and they don't extend their runway and extend their life, they might not be here in 3 to 4 years. So the opportunity is, take the time, take the chance while it's here. Make sure that you're putting yourself in a position to succeed long term, because capital, at least venture capital, over the last 18 months or so, has been really hard to come by from teams. And you've got an alternative path to funding that gets everybody what they want in the short term. It might not be the most healthy thing in the world, but it at least allows teams to extend the runway, survive for a little bit longer, and hopefully deliver an incredible game that'll stand, a decade or 15, 20 years, whatever it might be.
Great stuff, Knock. Real quick, I just want to say we're going to be moving on to the next topic in just a second. Got two more hands to get through. I just want to give a huge shout out to everybody in the audience, man. There are so many people that I love seeing here week after week. So many new faces too, and just we hope you enjoy the show. And for everybody that supports us every week, man, I don't know, I'm just feeling nostalgic today. Thank you guys, I appreciate it. Mr. Paul Bettner, going to you, then giving Andy from Stardust the last word.
Mine's quick. I just agree with what Jerry was saying. I think that I was trying to figure out, like, why is this the case? It's like, maybe it's bullshit, but the bullshit is more bullish. And I think it's just that if you compare the bullshit to maybe like a couple years ago bullshit, the numbers are bigger. Like the bullshit is even bigger bullshit if it is bullshit. And so, like, that actually inherently says something. It says that the numbers that we're hitting, even on metrics that maybe aren't the ones that ultimately matter, are actually bigger than the ones we were hitting on those same types of metrics a year or two ago. And that's been my take on seeing some of those numbers. I'm like, yeah, signups are many times what they would have been a couple of years ago, even if all we're measuring is signups. And so that inherently is bullish.
And Andy from Stardust.
Yeah, probably a more real answer here for everyone. I think we're all, generally speaking, on this panel on the same page here. The thing I think is interesting is that because it's like the cold start problem, and because it's like a cold start inside of a cold start, this whole industry is still in its own cold start in a way, about proving a lot of different aspects of it, and that kind of operationally seems to be changing, or at least affecting two things, which is kind of a bit of the fake it till you make it, kind of going right back to what like Knock was saying, like, yeah, some of this stuff is kind of functionally required for these teams that have their current like status to maintain that status and keep building through to a finish line and raise the funds they need to do it. And then the other thing I think is interesting to not push back on what Paul said, but just as an interesting thing to observe is that it's not so much a one look impression, first impression and done. A lot of it, someone like Pixels definitely, faked it for a bit until they made it a little bit, but they also built in public and they built consistently, externally. They didn't have one big reveal. And I think that's interesting. Shrapnel is doing a very, focused approach on this too, building very, very in public, long before some other, shooters in Web2 would consider, showing people. Same with Dr. Disrespect doing it last year at GDC, very, very public. So I just find those to be interesting, kind of maybe more unique to our industry, but all kind of required operationally, it seems.
Great points, man. That topic went a lot longer than I expected, but that was 100,000% worth it. Appreciate all you guys. Another new game mode, W or L for Guild of Guardians. This has actually a little bit of old news, but I think that this is a really interesting topic. They pivoted from being a regular role-playing game to being an idle role-playing game. My question for you guys is this a W for them recognizing that their game concept wasn't working, maybe the scope was too big, whatever went into that decision? And then from the holders and players perspective, is this a win or a loss as they bought assets for a game which has fundamentally changed genres? But is it better to have an asset in a game that's actually obviously successful versus one that's going to inevitably fail and they didn't do enough to change the fate of that? I'm going to go to Koji first.
Huge W, I say, just because fuck them holders, but also, um, but also, like, look, it takes a lot of courage to be like, hey, the game that we thought we were gonna make isn't working, and we actually find success in this other area. Like this aspect of the game is really working, this other one isn't. So let's tweak it to actually be fun, basically. And everyone in the space says that they want everything done out in the open, and they want like, this is like the way of Web3 is to just like put it all your cards on the table or whatever, no pun intended. But like what they don't actually want that, because that's how making games actually works, is when you find the fun in your game. Sometimes the loop that you thought was it's like only partially there, and so you got to pivot to something that is actually fun, and that's what these guys are clearly doing, because like no one would rightfully do this unless they really had conviction that what they were doing before wasn't working. And especially in Web3, it's really fucking scary, because people have given you money, most likely, to build the thing that you promised, and you're like, actually, what we promised isn't what we're going to build. And so like that takes a lot of courage. So I think it's a huge W for those guys, and anyone who has like conviction in actually making games, it's a huge W for them too.
I'm gonna go to Jerry, then we're tagging in Paul.
Yeah, I'm gonna back that up and say huge W. And I think there's when you buy an asset in a project, you kind of see a pivot happening. You're like, man, that sucks, because like that's not really what I signed up for. But these guys aren't pivoting for no reason, right? They probably did find something that they could have better, a better loop in, or better retention, or whatever it may be. And a lot of times as a holder, like that's probably in your best interest, right? It's probably in your best interest that the team is doing what they believe in, because they have a vested interest in succeeding as well, right? And I think in Web3 a lot of times we forget that, and we're just like, what the fuck, that's not what you promised us, right? So I think it's a huge W. Idle RPGs are like doing super well right now, and I think that it's a move that could be better for their long-term success. Another team I know pretty well, I know some of the reasons why they did it. They're all huge positives in my opinion, and I think it's way better for their long-term health and their long-term growth.
Paul Bettner.
I'm here to tell you, prove to you, it's a W. I wish you guys, I think I've mentioned this before, I wish you guys could have seen Age of Empires 2 before it was Age of Empires 2. So the team had just come off of Age of Empires 1, and we felt like, man, look, we nailed it. People love this game. It's doing really well. We know how to do this. And so we're like, hey, let's try some things. Let's mess with the formula a little bit. And there was a time there where we were like, we don't know how to do this. We must have just got lucky. This game is awful. In the evenings after we're done working on Age 2, we're all just going back and playing Age 1 or other games, because this game that we're working on sucks right now. And like, it's how a team navigates that process. And exactly like the folks have been saying here, we called that process finding the fun. And the difference in Web3 is that it happens in the open. And back then, we didn't have Discord. We didn't have people who got to see that there was this really, really awful version of Age 2 before the version we actually released and put in a box. But I promise you, it was terrible before it was great. And it's the team's ability, the courage and fortitude they have to navigate that process, and it's a humbling process, man. You design something, and you're like, this is the thing that people are going to have the most fun with, and you put it out there, and you're like, why are they spending all their time doing this other thing that we just thought was a minor feature, wasn't important at all, and they're ignoring the thing that we thought was the most fun? But the best teams are able to humble themselves to that and be like, that's fine. You know what? If this is where people are finding the fun, then we're going to double down on that. We're going to stop working on these other things that we wish were where the fun was, and we're going to go in this direction instead. So seeing that happening and seeing the team navigate that with courage instead of just doubling down on the original plan is definitely a W.
Great stuff. I'm going over to Ed Chang, head of gaming at Avalanche.
Yeah, I think it's W. I think number one, I think I think it's this muscle that you flex as a game developer of kind of trying to traverse like when is the right time to call it, like Koji was saying, right? Like if this is not working, we got to pivot and not doing it too early. I think number two, it also speaks to, when we work with a lot of our games too, you don't want them to raise like just the right amount to get to like the final product in one go, right? We saw that a lot in kind of the last bull run where teams will raise just enough to get to like the land sale or an IDO, and then raise, get even more non-dilutive capital, and it was just a party for them, because inevitably things happen. You might need to pivot, and then a lot of games are just like, yeah, we ran out of money. This initial idea we had didn't work. Hey, go figure. And so just giving yourself room to be able to pivot, to be able to try different things, I think is really important, and one thing that we want to see a lot of our games have that ammo and firepower to do.
Yeah, it's a really interesting perspective to get from you, Ed. The people that are even beyond the game, the chain wants to see that kind of agility from their products so that they can have faith that they're going to be able to make it to market with something that actually has product market fit. Delp from Shrapnel, over to you.
Yeah, I'm not going to like repeat what everyone said. I fully agree with all those statements. I want to point out it's also a massive W for the space as a whole. From my point of view, it's the first like big mobile game that I'm seeing do a pivot like this, and I'm paying super close attention to how the community is reacting to it. Are people actually selling? Are they becoming more bullish? Because it's just really, it's a good use case for us to all look at and to see how does a massive pivot look like with Web3 and with
How
existing
has
holders.
the community? I'm really curious. Like, since you've been paying attention, how has the community been responding to it?
Calling me on the spot. I mean, I'm going to look at what the
Okay.
community is
Okay.
doing.
That's
Well, if anyone
crazy.
knows, like, I'm just curious. Like, yeah, because I haven't followed along on what's happened. Like, what's been the ramifications of it?
Damn, the audacity to be like, I'm looking into the community, and then you
I
get
made like we're going to look
Sorry,
into
you
the
do that to
shit.
me, and I would have the exact same reaction. I'd be like, oh,
It's
hold on,
news to
I'll go
me,
tell you.
guys. Come on.
amazing. The redemption arc still needs some work, but I love it every time. I'm going to Knock and then to Koji.
Yeah, I mean, obvious W, everybody already kind of hit on it, so I'll take it a little bit of a different way. I think if you're a game and you're a team and you're faced with two options, the first is continue down a path, which is a finite path on a path that doesn't work, or try something else and hopefully save your company, and you choose to continue down the path that doesn't work, you deserve the L that comes your way. So I'm happy to see teams who have tried something make that pivot. We've seen it be massively successful for literally one of the largest games on earth in Fortnite. Not to say that that's replicable, but that's the story of what Fortnite Battle Royale was, a game that didn't work, that shipped a fun little game mode and decided to go all in on what that ecosystem looks like. And the other part is on the holder side, let's be real here for a second. Maybe a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but the overwhelming majority, and I'm talking 98% of people who are holding your asset will never fucking touch the game. So for them, they shouldn't care. They're not the people who are playing the game. They are people who are speculating on the game. And as a speculative holder, you should want to see teams make pivots into a better position, hopefully a better game. But either way, you've now got a new narrative, a new talking point, a new reason for people to speculate on the pivot. I don't see this ever being an L for holders in either scenario. Whether you're a speculative holder who has a new opportunity to peddle some narrative that might not actually be true, you still have an opportunity to do so. And if you're an actual player, somebody who's playing the game, yeah, you might be a little disappointed in the fact that the asset that you had no longer does the thing that it did, but at least you still got the opportunity to own an asset in a game that might actually have some legs instead of a game that only you were playing. So I don't think that this is ever an L for the holders in this scenario.
Yeah, drawing a line between the people that are asset holders and game players, I do think helps the discussion. Since we're getting so much agreement, though, I see a fantastic comment from Fisherman in the comments. He says, curious about y'all's thoughts on the pivot Dimensionals did, basically going from a Web3 product to a Web2 product, which I think is actually a really interesting wrinkle since we all seem to agree that pivoting genres is okay. Is it also okay to just pivot out of Web3 but still have Web3 assets? I have talked to the Dimensionals team. They're still sort of engaged in Web3, but it's been quite a long time. I'm going to go to Koji. If you can touch on that, it would be great, but no pressure.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I was gonna say it was a huge W for us to not mention the Fortnite example again, but fucking knock, just put that in the toilet. I said this at the time that the dimensionals thing happened. Like, I didn't know we could do that. I kind of want to, but it's far too late for us, I think.
Reddit would have loved
Um,
you if you just did that, Koji.
dude, there are days I wake up and I'm just like, yeah, I want to go Web 1. Fuck these guys. But no, but honestly, I think that like ultimately what we're talking about, I mean the Web 3 to Web 2 thing, that's is a bit harder. I would say like if they end up with like an amazing game out the other end, then they made the right choice regardless. But I think that you have to not be scared to do what you think is best for the health of your project, regardless of all of the other things, because that's what, you know, making a game and sustaining a business actually entails. Like it's no good if you're acting in the best interest of your holders if the whole thing implodes, right? Because then it all just goes to fucking zero anyway. And that's like the short-sightedness that exists in this space, is just like, oh, this wasn't the best move for me right now, so I hate these guys. It's just like, that doesn't work, because the reality of actually running a business just means I got to make the right choices long term, and short and medium term sort of be damned, or at least that's the way I look at it. So I don't know. I think that creators and founders should be able to just do whatever they need to do in order to keep their business alive.
Great stuff. Lems, I'm tagging you in. Then we're going to Jerry, then in Chang.
Yeah, I think overall, people kind of covered a lot of the points, but something no one's really covered too much is pre-selling assets like so far in advance of the game being finished. And hopefully this is something like kind of happened in 2021 and we don't see so much anymore. Koji, I know you're the exception. Please don't like rain on my parade. But outside of that, like they sold these game assets. I know Nox said as well, most players are not going to be playing the game, but there probably were some people who bought those assets to play the game. And obviously, it's better to have an asset for a game that's actually going to succeed and still be around than something that's inevitably going to trend to zero. But I hope we move away from that, and because it's kind of an L for the asset holders in that regard. If price goes up, then it's not an L, and they'll be happy anyway, and they can exit, so they'll be satisfied. But I think overall, if the asset was a more generic asset like a founder's pass or something like that, as opposed to a specific in-game asset, then it wouldn't be so much of an L from the holder side.
Ed Chang, over to you.
Yeah, I think just to comment on your like Web3 to Web2 or Web 2.5 analogy, I think like there's probably two examples here, right? As far as I know, Dimensional sold a bunch of NFTs or had a whole NFT collection. I do think you owe it to your player base, right, to do right by them if you do decide to shut down kind of the Web3 element. Because I just looked on OpenSea and there are NFTs that were going for like 1.7 plus ETH, and now it's listed for 0.07 ETH, right? That's tough. I think the other example is like Oh Baby Games, a super hyped like Web3 game. I feel like everybody loves playing that game. We hear comparisons to Mario Kart. I don't think they actually sold anything. So like kind of like, hey, we're taking a backseat on the Web3 side and waiting it out. I think that's totally fine. If anything, overall, probably bearish in the sense that they're basically saying, look, before we even think about blockchain, we want to get to product market fit. We want to actually build a great game. So I think that's totally fine. But just my 2 cents, having gone through something similar in the Avalanche ecosystem before as well.
Yeah, somebody who bought a dimensional stone at 2 Ethereum, your boy's a little bit sour. And sorry, Jerry, I think I debated you a little bit, went out of order. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, do whatever you want with your project. Like, I don't really care. I don't have a dimensional. They fucking faded me on getting me on the whitelist for that. So I've actually been actively rooting for their downfall since then. I like Sasha a lot. And Dimensionals, listen, is just not the game for me. But I think we're going to look back on what they've done in the last year or two and look at this as kind of like an all-time bag fumble, right? Whereas we have other projects, we just talked about them, Nyan Heroes, BloodLoop, Xterio, like those projects played the Web3 game as founders and as teams and are doing so well. And I think the Dimensionals team just didn't really do that. And now that their timing has just been so unfortunate as they've like made some of these decisions. This goes back to what we always say, like get somebody in the room that knows what's going on and has a finger on the pulse and respect that person's opinion. All these teams bring in people that are like Web3 natives and they go like, hey, cool, thanks for sharing that. We're not going to listen to what you just said. And it doesn't go well for them. And that's just like, I think it was a project with so much potential, had so much hype, had everything going for it. And there's just been, bag fumble after bag fumble. And it's really painful to see because, Sasha's a great guy. He's an awesome dude. The project has a lot of potential, but I just felt like they didn't listen to people who were trying to tell them, to make some better choices. And I don't know. I don't really mind that they're pivoting away, but they're fumbling the bag, and it sucks to see.
I'm curious if people think that there is, to extend the conversation a little bit further, if they came back and they started a Web3 marketing.
Fuck no.
No, oh, they're just dead to us. They're dead to us.
They should be. They've shown what they're, that they don't want to be here, and that they're pivoting away from it. So I think coming back now, I would look at that as being kind of extractive, kind of like, what are you doing? Like, A, you don't have a plan because you're going back and forth, but B, are you just here because things are good again, right? You remember the good times of 21, and now they're coming back maybe, and do you want to just take advantage of that? But what happens in 2026, right? So for me, it's obvious no.
What if there's no additional asset, no TGE? It's just coming back into Web3 and trying to drive value to the assets that they already have, doing more of the factory NFT stuff.
No, because it still would be a big no from me, because there's too much opportunity. We have a blue ocean around us, right? Why am I going to go to the fucking shitty, rock that Kevin Costner ended up on, or no, Tom Hanks, my bad. Like we got the fucking world around us, dude. There's so much potential everywhere. I'm not going to waste my time on somebody that doesn't know, who they are and what they want to be.
Fair play. One of the things I think that makes me sad is I've played the game at least 3 or 4 times at this point, and I've really enjoyed it whenever I played it. I'm a big Slay the Spire fan and some turn-based games, and it just really scratched an itch for me, so it feels sad to lose one of my favorite Web3 games, if that is the case. Knock, I'm going over to you.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Dimensionals is going to do well because that game is fucking good. Like, objectively so. It's just a good game. Whether or not they're in Web3 is not going to change anything. It is one of the most fun, like, 15-minute sessions that I've ever had in a game when we played it at 3XP, even in what was a pretty janky version of that game. As somebody who plays that genre a lot, it was a ton of fun. It was super polished. It felt good. It looked good. That's a game that's going to perform 10 out of 10 times. I also don't think that it's a bad thing for teams who maybe want to take a little bit of a hiatus from the Web3 ecosystem. It is fucking noisy. It is impossible to focus on literally anything. You have a founder here on this panel who has been, I would imagine, because I would be, consumed by the fact that his project is being attacked by the traditional like Web2 market from what's going on with Parallel and the Hearthstone community. It's distracting. It's really hard to focus on what's going on. And let's be serious here. Like, we've seen this happen before. Nyan Heroes is a perfect example of a team who minted an NFT in 2021, disappeared pretty much for the course of 2 or 3 years, and came back with a bang because they have a good game. They have a game that looks great, that gets people excited. They have a bunch of marketable moments. They worked with people in the space that are really well respected. They're listening to the people in the space that are really well respected, like Jerry mentioned. They have done everything right in their return. They're leading up to a couple of major moments. And this is by and large a team that hasn't really been around for the better part of the last 2.5, 3 years, right? Things take time. It's really difficult to build in the space if you're getting ridiculed at every corner. I don't blame teams for taking a step back. Now, obviously, what Nyan did is not what, Dimensionals is planning in this move to just straight up Web 2. I do think that there's some more nuance there. But I am of the opinion that we should be rooting for teams that have quality products to do well in this ecosystem. Frankly, even if that means that they're being a little bit extractive, because a game like Dimensionals doing well, having people play that game and have fun is a net benefit to the entire ecosystem because it is an incredibly polished game. It's really, really well done. I cannot stress that enough. You want games like that to do well within this ecosystem. So personally, the same way that I always have with all of these teams, I welcome them. I want them to do well. I'm around if you need somebody to talk to. Just bounce opinions off of. We want more of these teams to succeed in this ecosystem because it's better for all of us long term.
The difference between Knock and I is he must have gotten on the whitelist when I didn't, so I'm still bitter.
No, I did not either. I'm pretty bitter about that as well.
Oh, dude, down with Dimensionals.
I paid 2 ETH and I still love the game, dude. And what he's saying too is that it was polished at 3 XP. That was 10 months ago. It was already polished. In short, it was 1 level or 2 levels. But 10 months later, how much better must it be? I personally would love for them to come back to Web3. I would welcome them with open arms. I hope the first words out of their mouth, though, are not TGE or new collection, because if that is the case, I'm sending them to zero post haste. I'm giving the first mystery box from the Wolves Den to Pirate Master Murdoch. Guys, I have too much friggin' merch in my house. Please, for the love of God, take it from me. Pirate Master Murdoch, appreciate you always jumping in. If you want to get that box, feel free to send me your address and I will send it out next week. Big shout out to everybody that's given us a retweet. We still got some Shrapnel X Stardust. Web3 Gaming is going to be big hoodies, so make sure you're giving us a retweet. Drop some great comments. The comments have been absolutely cooking. Cairo says, Fresco scares me now. And at the exact same time, Icy said, damn, the takeaway here is don't fade Fresco. So apparently you made your impression seen. Andy Slaps, I see you in the audience too. I'd love to bring you up, but we have a full panel right now. So take it up with Elon. My apologies. I'm sending it over to Mr. Sinjin. Then we're going to Andy.
You know, we're talking a lot about pivots, and I think in Dimensional's case, and having met Sasha and talked to him in person, this was a pivot for them. I mean, if you talk with Sasha, he loves NFTs. He loves the entire concepts of it. You know, he adores, you know, what it represents. But I think as well, when you speak with him and how passionate he is about the game, that his focus really is getting the game out there. And if he figured that, you know, Web3 and what they've kind of put out there, or what the environment is as a distraction to getting the game out in terms of either adoption or perception or so on and so forth. And he wants this game in the hands of gamers. For me, I think this was probably the right play for them. Now, it's not necessarily the right play for many of us in the space. And I think a lot of bag holders, and quote unquote speculators are, you know, legitimately, you know, and rightfully so, justified in being pissed off. But you know, this is one of those things where I think, you know, you're just going to need time for him to cook and to just take it. And what many things what Knox said, I think, is very true in this case, in the sense that, you know, I talked to some other game designers and game developers, and they're not talking to me about how much they love their game, how much they love their IP, how much they love their vision. They're talking to me about, like, hey, when are you going to do your next token drop? What influencers should we talk with? You know, how much we're going to raise, and they never talk about the game. And all Sasha does is talk about how much he fucking loves his game. You know, he was doing the demo with me through 3XP. I played it. I think it's fantastic. I love the fucking concept. As a game designer, I think it's fucking phenomenal. And he was trying to show me how to play the game. And as we were playing the game, he took over the control. He's like, no, 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 let me show you this and let me show you that. And for me, that was so endearing, because he loves the game so fucking much. But, you know, you got to look at it that, you know, if you really want to come and build your game out and get it to market as quickly as possible, because you have some bigger vision here, which is like not looking at NFTs kind of as the end goal or the floor price or earning money, but creating like the next Disney of, you know, whatever gaming. And that's always been his intention, or the next Pokemon level. I mean, for him, you know, he's taking away certain distractions, which I think, you know, it's arguably, whether or not you want to piss off your first cohort of possible users or not, you know, questionable tactic. But again, I would say don't fade dimensionals. Hold on to your dimensional. It's not financial advice. I think Sasha's going to come back, and he's going to come back fucking swinging.
Great stuff. I hope you're right, my man. Andy from Stardust, tagging you in.
Yeah, I really agree with what Sinjin and Nock was saying, in general, and I kind of want to kick it over to Jerry again, because people like Max, I met in 2021, and then he kind of like disappeared for a bit. The whole project seemed like it disappeared, and it came back, like you said, kind of swinging. And there's other projects too that I want to bring up to the table that aren't even necessarily like public, but they were building hella deep in Web3, and everything Sinjin is saying. Gotta turn that off. Everything Sinjin is saying about like the founders and how much they care about Web3, like these guys were saying the same thing, but then they never kind of did this whole, TGE or NFT launch or anything like that. They kind of built everything, and then the market slid sideways, and then they went back to Web 2 because they couldn't justify Web 3, and now they're back in Web 3 because they believe a lot and there's money here. And that's the other thing I want to like put in this panel is that like VC raising in Web 2 for gaming right now is a fucking bloodbath. It is insane. And like there is real opportunity here as a game developer. So I guess my question for Jerry is this like NIMBY gatekeeping, or is this like I'm watching out for scams? Like what is this actually? Because in my mind, there's just the reality of the macro, and like these people are real people who want to bring serious projects back into the space, and maybe we're watching how they approach it. But I certainly don't feel that like a real game with a passionate founder is inherently a scam because they left and came back. So curious to hear what you think.
Yeah, I think my thought is that if you're going to be a Web3 game and you're going to like first come into the scene as being all in on that, walking that back is just kind of lame to me. It's just kind of like it's like you didn't know who you were and you didn't adorn yourself accordingly. And that's like a big tenet for me, like in life, is that, you know who you are and who you want to be, and what you want your place in the space to be, or in the ecosystem to be. And it's not that I think that they're bad or they're bad actors or anything. To me, it seems like they have no idea what they want to do within Web3, and that's a problem for me. Sasha's a great guy. I mean, I had a great conversation with him. I like him. I like his team. But it seems to me like he is very passionate about his game, and I love that. But he's not as passionate about what the Web3 ties and what the Web3 hooks can be. And if you don't know that, then what are you doing here? And that's where I have an issue. It's nothing about him as a person. I think he has like the highest character, but it's the feeling that I get of like, you just don't know what you want to do with this, and so I shouldn't spend my time on this.
I think that's totally fair, and I'll just wrap what I'm saying with I think we're probably talking about different examples. Like some of the things I'm talking about are kind of rock and hard place VC. Like I have a salary to pay for 15 people, and like I got to do X, Y, and Z to survive. So it's not just Sasha, I guess, was my only example, but I meant more the principle of having to leave or thinking they have to leave and come back. But anyway, cool.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I mean, it's
Jerry.
not going to be easier over there, like you're still going to have, it's still going to be difficult on the other side of the coin, right? So, I mean, I get it. And I listen, I've never been a CEO. I've never had to worry about that kind of stuff. Be happy for Paul or St. John or whoever to talk more on that. But, I'm here because I'm a Web3 fanatic, right? And I want this space to go far because I believe so heavily in it, But all that stuff about paying bills and having people depend
Wait,
on you,
I got to jump
I
in
don't really
here
know.
real quick. I don't know if I'm cutting somebody off,
Go
but
ahead.
yeah, I was just saying before that like I'm all for Web3. I'm all for founders and projects pivoting, and I 100% am. But like, you don't pivot out and then pivot back because there's money here. Fuck that. Fuck
Yep,
that, man. Like
exactly.
110%. Fuck that, because we like we've all of us here have been in this space through a bunch of fucking nonsense, and I'll tell you, like working in Web3 especially, like the benefits are incredible, but the downside is fucking massive. And if it's not for you, leave. That's fine, but don't come back because it's like, oh, all of a sudden the appetite's here again for me to get a bag or whatever. Fuck that shit, because like that just means that like all the like blood, sweat, and tears and all the hard work that all the rest of us did is like basically for nothing. If these guys can just come back with open arms, because if I can just like pivot in and out when it's good, like I'll fucking see you on Gamified in a couple of years, guys.
And
Whoa,
we know
whoa,
Koji will.
But what's the end game though? My honest question, like, is that we have this initial cohort because everyone was exploring Web3. You talk to every single major brand, like the amount of calls I did with fucking Samsung and Sony, and everyone was involved. Everyone. So is the end game that we are just like gamified stays as it is forever, and we're NIMBY and like fuck all these people for trying to come in, or are we going to celebrate the growth that we're talking about, growing the pie and like bringing actual quality content and
Oh
not
no,
be
no,
like.
they can try and come in. It's just once you're gone, you're gone, man. Because if you're only here when the times are good, like if you want to rotate back in when it's like a bear market again, okay, maybe I have a bit more respect for you then because you're just like, I actually believe in this shit. But if you're just coming back because it's like, oh, we can get more money, people are actually willing to give us funds now, like that's insane.
Bro,
And anyone who supports that shit is absolutely insane.
how can
No,
you not
no, no
love
offense.
What a guy. What a fucking guy. I love Koji so much. I just want to refresh the topic because we've been through a lot of threads. Anybody that's just joining us. So we started out by talking about Guild of Guardians on Immutable pivoting from being an RPG to an idle RPG, and if their holders should be upset about that. And then we pivoted based on a comment. Shout out to Fishman, who said that he was curious if we felt the same way about Dimensionals basically leaving Web3 to go to Web2, but they still have Web3 assets out there on the marketplace. And that's where we find ourselves now. I also want to give a quick shout out to DeFi Kingdoms in the comments. Their account says, we're looking for trust in a trustless space. Pivoting and adapting is crucial, but completely leaving the space, particularly after selling assets or raising, that is significant. Everyone has their line for trust, and once it's broken, it's hard to regain. And then in a follow-up comment, they say, but ultimately, it's also important to remember that projects are businesses and must be run as such. Paul Bettner, I send it over to you.
Thank you. You know that the thing that I love the most, I mean, we talked about this before. I love coming on this panel and hearing these opinions from my fellow builders and folks that are in the space. It fills me, it just kind of recharges me for the week. And this is happening right now in this conversation. And I want to tell you why. It's because one of the hardest things about building in this space is not the fundraising, is not the utility of Web3 as a source for additional marketing and fundraising. Like, I think we all recognize that Web3 can do that, but hearing that sort of universally on the panel that people are like, yeah, but fuck that. That is not the end game is for me recharging because what I'm spending all my time and effort and energy working on is trying to get to that promised land we've discussed where Web3 isn't just a great new version of Kickstarter or some new way to fund a project or market a project. It actually, like you guys asked, like, what's the end game? The end game is that Web3 makes play better. That somehow, because the game is a Web3 game, it's more fun, it's more engaging, it's just a more enjoyable product. That's the promised land that I am just killing myself to try to get to with our project and hope that we can all get to. And so I'm just, for me, it's like it's just great to hear that we all feel that way, that we don't feel like, oh, the end game is just that Web3 is a new way of funding games or marketing games. Like that's not good enough. And I agree with that.
Amen, brother.
Amen. I think we can all agree with that. Sinjin, over to you.
I agree with Koji in the sense that if the move is opportunistic, and we've seen that with a lot of games that were basically dead or collections, NFT collections, now the bull's back and they're jumping back in. I think this is a little different with Sasha, and I can't, 100% defend him in the sense that I don't know what they're doing right at this very moment, and I haven't spoken in months. But there's one thing to be said about like why are we in this? Why do we endure this? Whether it's fundraising or we want a first mover advantage, but maybe Sasha's looking at maybe a second mover advantage, and maybe he comes out swinging not in an opportunistic way in the sense that he's releasing a new collection to raise money, but that he has a game that's very viable, that's already gotten mainstream adoption, and then he releases more assets because it makes sense for the game. And then at that point, I mean, are we gonna say, fuck you, Sasha, get the fuck out of here, or are we gonna be, Sasha, well fucking done, well played, you took a very brave and courageous path to get to where you're going, and we all fucking shat on you for fucking months and months. But your game plan was the right game plan because, you were looking to the really long game there. I mean, it also depends. I mean, I understand why people can be fucking pissed because, they raised in the bull. They raised well. But also when you raise that much and the expectations are there, your Discord is going to be filled with when moon, right? Because of the type of individuals you got to come on. So we've talked about, all the playtesters that came on and all the different wallets and the quality of those players. And are those really the players that you want? And I think Paul really, touched on that at the beginning and really explained that very well. And I think maybe for Sasha, it wasn't the type of players that he wanted. In fact, he realized and maybe in disgust that, he had raised the way that he needed to raise, but this is not how we wanted to continue. And he knew that this would be an impediment to, actually getting real gamers coming in when, you get real gamers to come on your Discord and everyone's just like, when moon. And might not even be a second mover advantage, might be even a third one for them. That when everything's really kicking off, then he, reveals it when it's not going to be a detriment to, his game launching. So I agree with Koji, opportunistic fucks, fuck the fuck off. But for Sasha, I think it's different in this case.
There's also a great comment adding yet another wrinkle from Zach D. A big shout out to Dragoon. He was actually at the Wolves Den as well. Appreciate you, man. He says, if the exit and re-entry of Dimensionals did work, will we see it become more and more common with other Web3 gaming projects because this space is so big on mimicry? Knock, I'm tagging you in next, then we'll go to Jerry.
Hold on, real quick. I just wanted to say that I was not commenting on Dimensionals specifically, but because this is Web3, the way I feel about it will be how much my bags are inflated when they return. Also, let me just say that if you had a friend who hung out with you when you were rich and then disappeared when you had no money and then came back when you were rich again, you'd be like, fuck that guy. So, that's all I'm saying. And it has nothing to do with Dimensionals specifically.
Fair point. Thanks for the asterisk. Fisherman also says, thanks for the great discussion topic. Agree with Wild Paul here. Loved playing Dimensional, so I'm just disappointed that they don't see that the elements of blockchain can enhance the game in a way that can't be found without it. I couldn't agree more, Fisherman. And thanks for giving us this amazing addition to the topic. This is my favorite thing whenever we find something, go super deep on it. There's a lot of different opinions, so I'm letting it go as long as I can. We'll probably go through these hands and then move on because we've been on it for a while, but it's been incredible. Knock, the floor is yours.
Yeah, here comes another knock hot take that everybody hates, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I grew up an incredibly competitive person. I played competitive sports my entire life. My dad was a coach. My brother works in the NHL. We are a sports family through and through. And there's a saying in sports, and it's they don't ask how, they ask how many. In sports, it means we don't care how you score a goal or how you score points. What we care about is the fact that you scored points and you won the game. In Web3, it means I don't give a fuck how a Web3 title takes off, as long as we have 5 or 6 or 10 of them take off over the course of the next couple of years, and people stop looking down on this industry, and we have some people who are coming in and validating what we've done. I live in literally the most championship starved city in the world in Toronto. We don't fucking win anything. The Leafs have never won anything. Like, my dad is turning 60 this year. He hasn't seen a Leafs championship. The last time the Leafs won was almost 70 years ago at this point. We had a guy come into the city in 2019 by the name of Kawhi Leonard. He said from day one, I don't want to be here. I don't want to play for this team. He came to Toronto. He won a ring. He won us an NBA championship. And then he fucking left just like he said he was going to do. He
The
ran
same
away.
year.
Dude, yeah. He literally left at the end of that year. He won. He said, peace. I'm never coming back. And you know what? If Kawhi said, fuck it, I'm coming back to Toronto, he came here and he won us another ring, we would build him a fucking statue. I would cut this guy's lawn. People would fuck. He would never have to do fucking anything ever again. And it's because we don't ask how, we ask how many. We want to see teams win. I don't care if people come back because they're being opportunistic, as long as they deliver a really high quality game. And let's be real, Koji was a little tongue in cheek in the way that he said it, but the reality of the situation is if Dimensionals came back, they deliver an incredible game. The price of that asset goes back up. In a year's time, nobody remembers this fucking conversation, and we don't care because we have a top tier game in the Web3 ecosystem. People are happy because they made a bunch of money. They don't ask how, they ask how many, or in the case of Web3, they ask how high is my fucking floor price. That is the only thing that matters in this ecosystem right now. I know that that's an unpopular opinion, but I want good quality games to deliver good quality products, and I want them to do it in Web3. I don't care how many times it takes for them to figure out that Web3 is the spot they need to be in.
I know it's become incredibly unpopular to say anything bad about this project, but I'm just going to tell you guys one name, Pixelmon. Andy, over to you.
Okay, so a couple things real fast. Like Koji, I'm not talking about just dimensionals. I'm kind of also not even talking about any full blown rugs or people who even did any sales whatsoever. I'm totally on board with Knock. In fact, I think Knock and I might be gay dads at some point here. And to bring that full circle, what I mean by that is the prodigal son. The prodigal son returns. the father in that, you know, narrative is extremely glad. If you guys don't know Prodigal Son, he has 2 sons. They have their inheritance. One goes off and blows it all on hookers and cocaine, comes back and says, "I'm broke. Will you, you know, take me in?" The other son's pissed because what the hell? He just blew his whole inheritance, and now you're gonna let him come back, just, you know, open arms. And the dad says, "Yeah, of course I am. I love him. He's my son, and I'm happy that games are building in Web3 and pushing people and growing the pie. That's the whole goal. So I'm totally on board with Knock. We'll find
Wait, that last part's not in the Bible. What?
yeah, you know, mixing and matching a little bit, but no, in general, I just want to say, like, I'm totally on board with Knock, and we'll find a nice little cozy house to settle down in and have all our Web3 game babies running along.
I'm sure you two will be very happy together. Jerry, I'm giving you the last word, then we're finally moving on.
Yeah, for a couple things. First, I want to say that Kawhi Leonard is and I are from the same area, and it makes me really happy that somebody who's from my hometown could cause the whole city of Toronto pain by leaving them the year he won a championship. And I would also counter Andy with another Bible story of Judas, you know. And I'm not Jesus, man. I don't forgive people who fucked me.
Yo, what the fuck? Koji, go ahead. Koji, you with us, or did you just hot mic?
Yeah, sorry, I got a call in the middle of my insult, but I said I didn't know weakness of character was geographic.
Yo, as somebody who worked at a burger joint when I was 20 years old and Kawhi Leonard came in, I served him a burger, and then I had nightmares for like 2 years because I realized I forgot the ketchup after he drove away in his Porsche 911. Just needed to squeeze that in there. You don't get many chances to talk about Kawhi Leonard on this show. Anyway, behold the behemoth, the bastion, the bedrock, its avalanche. This colossus of the crypto climate stands unshaken as it slices through icy skepticism like a scorching sword, cutting a crystal clear path through the blizzard of bewilderment. Avalanche is not just a platform, it's the pathfinder, a pioneer, a prodigy, and it's the official blockchain of gamified. With a valor and vigor, Avalanche ventures valiantly into the very vortex of volatility. It's not just a ledger, it's the lodestar leading us through the labyrinth of the unknown, the light guiding us to lands of logic and lucidity. And amplify your applause and acclaim for our electrifying game sponsor. It's Shrapnel, the paramount, the pinnacle, the prime, the official game of gamified. Shrapnel's not merely a game, it's a supernova, a spectacle, a cataclysm of creativity, a tidal wave of tactical triumphs. It's where pixels and prowess fuse in a furnace of ferocity, forging a frontier of feverish fun. And the next STX is going to be a little bit ways away, but that's because they're working on 3.0, baby, and we can't wait to see it. And how could we forget Stardust, the official infrastructure of gamified? Feast your eyes on their wallets as a service tooling, a magical mechanism making metaverse management a breeze. This invisible, ingenious innovation offers a white label wonder, weaving Web 2 simplicity with the wizardry of Web 3, with over 150 EVM chains at your command, including Sui, Solana, Stardust, and of course Avalanche. It stands as the supreme steward of your in-game gold and the guardians of your gamers' gains. And worry not about the wily ways of the web. Stardust safeguards the sanctity of your player's stash, shouldering the logistics and the liability, which few others do. Big shout out to Stardust, Avalanche, and Shrapnel. We're moving on to top 5. Okay, this is the new game mode as well. Scrap one, add one. Games GG, top 5 games of March. Who would you take off and who would you put on in their place? We have Metalcore, Pixels, Night Crows, Nyan Heroes, and Mythic Protocol as their top 5. I'm just going to jump in right away on this and say I would take off Night Crows because I played this thing thinking it was going to be an MMORPG. I waited hours and hours in a queue to finally get into this fucking thing, only to find out that it's an idle MMORPG where literally you just say, hit the quest, and then you run across town, and it's like, accept the quest, and then you hit a button, and it runs over to the mobs, and it kills all the mobs, and then you hit another button, and it says, okay, I'm turning in the quest. Like, it literally, you do nothing. You hit the quest button over and over and over again. I got to level 10. That was all I did. So fuck that game. That's not actually gaming. I'm going to put in instead Aperon. I think Aperon is super fun to play and has an insane amount of depth. So they're going in my top 5. Dub, I'm tagging you in next.
Can you pin the top 5, by the way? Like, that'd be great to see it.
Absolutely.
I'll find it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
already forgot some of them, but I was gonna axe Metalcore, but axing Night Crows sounds like a better option after hearing your experience. And of course, I'm putting myself right up there as Shrapnel, and then as well as Parallel, just because it's literally consumed my life.
All right, big shout out. Metalcore, Pixels, Night Crows, Nyan Heroes, and Mythic Protocol was the top 5. Connor from Xborg tagging you in.
Yeah, I think you got to have Parallel in there, not just because Koji's on the panel today, but because they're capturing mainstream attention, and that's the goal. If G2 players and streamers, even if they're shitting on you, are talking about you, then you're winning for sure.
Man, now that I think about it too, it's the top 5 games for March, and March was obviously whenever we had the Shrap House X Wolves Den and all the amazing games at the AVAX booth. So it's got to be Shrapnel. I might even throw Providence in there as well. Providence I've played actually on stage and then also played again whenever I came home because I had so much fun. I'm going to tag in Knock next. Knock, who you taking out? Who you putting in?
Yeah, I think I'm taking Metalcore out probably. Nitros, I guess I'll have to take out as well, just given what you've just described. I was so curious about that game because of the insane number of people who are actually playing the game. I believe it's downloadable through Steam, but yeah, the whole idle thing is just not for me. Obviously, Parallel is one that needs to be here. I think the other one is actually one of the fan favorites at the Wolves Den, which was Chibi Clash. I think they had a little bit of a moment at Wolves Den. I think people really, their eyes were open to how fun that game can actually be. I think it's pretty simple in its current form. There's a lot of work to be done for sure, but I'm a big fan of Ted and that team, and what they delivered at Wolves Den was a ton of fun. I also just want to make a quick side note and point out that Frank and the Aperon team are a perfect example of a team who showed up in 2021, disappeared for a couple of years, and came out now in a big way. So, hey, we're seeing it now. We're seeing great teams. Also, if you've ever played Black and White, go play Aperon. It's a fucking incredible god game. So much fun, so much depth.
Yeah, an insane amount of depth. I would actually say it's an iteration of a real-time strategy game and then have cards on top of it, which are two of my absolute favorite genres of all time. I always talk about genre bending and how I think that's the future. I think Aperon actually might have it. If they can just make it a simpler onboarding process, because it is so overwhelming, all the cards, all the talents, all that stuff. But Night Crows is fucking dead to me. I literally would rather go play Taxes than I would play Night Crows again. Lems, over to you.
I can't find the tweet to pin it, so sorry. GamesGG, make it easier to find on your Twitter. But yeah, I'm going to scrap Night Crows as well. It's like that and Mythic Protocol were the only ones I hadn't played, and I was actually going to try Night Crows. And I wasn't even going to name you, Sam, because you wrote a roast of a review in the Wolves DAO, and I was just going to say someone in the Wolves DAO played it, but here, you outed yourself anyway. So yeah, I'm going to scrap that one for sure. And anyone who knows that I've played Oh Baby Card an insane amount, they were in their beta in March, so that is hands down an easy win for me for March. It is coming back next week, so if you want to race me on the track, like let's go, because Oh Baby Card is honestly probably my favorite game in Web3 right now.
I still have not played, which is an absolute crime. You got to get me in. Jerry, Metalcore, Pixels, Night Crows, Nyan Heroes, and Mythic Protocol. Who you taking out and who you adding into that top 5 for March?
Yeah, well, I used to work for one of these games, and the egotistical part of me who gets a credit on that needs that to stay in the top 5. I'm gonna take off Night Crows just because it's just so uninteresting to me. It just a game that plays itself is I don't know. I don't need to say anything that you guys didn't already say. I want to put Parallel in there, but Koji just called my character weak, so I will put. I'm going to first go to Reddit and leave hateful comments about him, but second, I'll put in Sugartown.
All right, good pick, good pick. We're gonna move on. Thanks for playing that quick fire. It was a lot of fun. What game?
Wait. Hold on. I just got to say, it would have been stronger of character for you to put us in despite what I said about you. So you've just proven my points.
Hey, dude, did we not hear that I'm not Jesus? I'm not forgiving people.
He doesn't hold grudges, but he does take receipts, and his character is weak. Doesn't rhyme. What makes a game AAA, AA, single A, or indie? And what the hell are the games that we have in Web3 is the question here. Illuvium claims to be AAA, but Helldivers 2 is only AA? What actually makes the game AAA here? So let's use some Web3 examples. We're going to judge these Web3 games by Web2 standards. We're going to start with Illuvium. I've got a bunch on here. I've got Parallel, Oh Baby Cart, Nyan Heroes, Pixels, Shrapnel, Wild Paul, kick us off. Is Illuvium actually AAA?
So this has been one of the most like exhaustively debated things in games, like obviously before Web3, and it's not settled by any means. And you also have this new term AAA, which is like the big budget indie games,
What?
and AA is another one that I've heard. So like this is just this kind of thing that has been trodden over many times. I'll say that lately, I tend to think that only games that have marketing budgets equal to their development budgets, both of which add up to more than 100 million, are in the AAA category. Now, that's a controversial take because, like, lots of people, again, like to describe this in totally different ways that have nothing to do with budget and have to do with production quality or number of players, or like, there's just so many different things. But I think, especially when I rewind my own brain to like where these terms came from and like, and how we used to discuss them relative to like events like E3 and these big like signature events in the industry. It used to be about budget, and that was like the differentiating thing, which generally had to do with publisher relationships and how much the publisher was spending on the game. And I just think like it's still, and not just development budget. It has to be development plus marketing budget gets to a certain level, and that's where something graduates to AAA.
I think that's actually a staggeringly easy and articulate way to be able to measure it. I agree that by marketing budget is usually the thing that falls short whenever people say it's a AAA game, but they spend like $3 million on marketing. You're like, nobody's going to play this. Like that's a ridiculously low amount. Icy in the comments is saying, let's play in the comments, burn one, add one, Nightcrow's 9 Heroes, Pixels, Mythic Protocol, Metalcore, if you guys want to chime in, and maybe I'll give the next merch box that we have away to somebody who plays along. Cesar Martinez says he would take off Night Crows and add Blast Royale. I was shocked. I was actually enjoying a mobile game. Graslow, a fellow founder, along with a lot of our panelists here today, says idle games are not real games. Cairo says his top 5 would be Parallel, Aperon, Nyan Heroes, Shrapnel, and he's open on the last one, maybe Pixels. Getting back to the conversation, though, about AAA, AA, Single A, and Indie, I want to continue it on. Lems, your thoughts, what makes these games AA, AAA, etc., and is Illuvium actually AAA?
All right, I'll take the Illuvium part first. I would say at best case in its current form, it's probably AA. But what I'd really like to throw the question to the panel is like, what pushes it over the edge outside of marketing? Like, is it gameplay? Like, is it just budget that makes something indie as opposed to AA? What like is the determining factor that will push it over the edge from something being like a really fun AA game that maybe their marketing budget wasn't huge, but the game is fun. It's not like got the shiniest graphics in the world, but then they like get viral marketing and they just take off organically and everyone knows about it. Like, what does that make it classify then? So
I
I'd love
don't.
to know
I
that.
mean, just to answer that question, like I don't think it's viral marketing. Like I've been asking myself as you were talking and we were talking about this earlier. Like, can a game go from being like something that was a incredibly high, well funded independent game to AAA just because it like went viral or just because? And like, no, I don't think so. I don't think any gamers would like look at like I don't know Only Up. Let me just pick that example and be like, that's a AAA game because everybody played it all of a sudden, or even Helldivers.
Or
Like
Pal
huge
Worlds.
game,
Like Pal
right?
Worlds not close to
Helldivers,
AAA.
yeah, exactly. And I think it's because even though it gained that momentum and those sales and those numbers, it didn't start with this giant budget and whereas where we all would look at like something like, I don't know, Cyberpunk and be like, hey, that's definitely AAA because they put, $150 million into the budget and the marketing of that game. So I think it has to do with like out of the gate how much money is committed to those things, generally the way that we think about it.
Jerry's always screaming from the rooftops that we need publishers in Web3 gaming. Jerry, I want to send it over to you. Real quick, OG in the comments says 2,092 people watching right now and sends a picture of Night Crows. I can't imagine anything more boring than not even playing an idle game, but watching somebody else play a fucking idle game. Send me to 0 if that's what gaming is now. Jerry, over to you.
Yeah, I come from the Paul school of thought here. It's like 100 million plus. Which is actually kind of interesting to think about in the context of Web3, because that means that we have like 2 AAA potential titles coming up in Web3. And, I think at the end of the day, does it fucking matter? Not really. I think it's been a debate for a long time in gaming. And I think Web3 has just totally made that debate worse by like, studios who've raised $6 million, but they look nice calling themselves AAA. And I think to me, that kind of is like, catching people with their pants down a bit, you know, and those teams I actually like stay away from. I don't really want to comment on Illuvium because every time I say anything about Illuvium, like the whole fucking army comes after me. So, you know, I'm not gonna piss off the Web3 Swifties here.
What about NFL Rivals, Jerry? Is that a AAA mobile game? Huh?
Yeah, it's the definition of AAA mobile, bro.
All right, knock over to you.
Yeah, let's just bully our way into becoming a AAA title. That's the path, clearly. No, I mean, let's just take Paul's example. There's not a single team in Web3 that is building a true AAA game. The best founders in this space are the first founders to say nobody's doing it, and definitely not us. We are not AAA titles. We see that all the time, especially a game like Wildcard as an example. Paul will be the first person to tell you he's not building a AAA game. The other thing is we had this conversation. We saw the leaks a few months ago from Sony and what ended up happening there. And we saw that Spider-Man, a single player AAA title with no online portion, it was not a multiplayer game, had a marketing budget of 150 million fucking dollars. Nobody in this space has even developed anywhere near that amount of money. Nobody's raised anywhere close to that in a single go, and they're spending it on just marketing for just a single player title. The idea that anybody in this space is building a game that is going to go toe to toe with a Call of Duty for less than $100 million in total costs is fucking absurd. People who are saying that they're going to do that are either lying or being deceitful or intentionally being deceitful or are stupid or all three. And the reality of it is we don't need AAA titles. Some of the best games that have come out over the course of the last couple of years have been AA or less. Some of my personal favorite games, I know I've beaten this to death. Helldivers is fucking incredible. Palworld was actually a ton of fun. Games like Cult of the Lamb were incredible titles. Slay the Spire 2 just got announced for 2025. I don't care if your game doesn't have $400 million worth of budget to build a game. I don't give a shit. And honestly, we don't need a ton of those titles, and we'll probably see less of them moving forward because they're massive risks to the studios who are developing them. A game like the fucking Justice League that sold fewer copies than Palworld, why would a team ever press go on a $300 million game when you can build Palworld for $8 million? Build a good game, build a game that's a ton of fun. I don't care what the title is, but I do care, and I will say this definitively, there is no, or there are no AAA titles in Web3, and that's okay. We don't need them.
I would say, Knock, I agree with everything you said, but there's one evil empire lurking. People are hard on the guy. He's one of my favorite people, but the evil empire limit break is sitting there with a ton of fucking money.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
that's fair,
knew.
but they're focused on mobile, and I don't necessarily think that I would consider even like a fucking Clash Royale to be a true AAA title. Maybe that's just my perception of mobile. But yeah, I don't know that I would agree there, but that's just my own
I think
personal
it's mostly a
bias.
UA budget too. It's mostly a marketing budget. I don't think the game is getting the lion's share of that. I think Gabe's smart, and that's mostly UA.
And you know, I hope that this doesn't feel pandering or like we're insulting these games. The reason that I bring this topic up is so newer people who come into the space and they see a Twitter account with a cool looking game and it says AAA shooter, and the last time you heard that terminology was with Fortnite or Call of Duty or Battlefield or whatever, and that's where your mind goes, and you're like, wow, I can get an NFT for $100 and I'll have an NFT in the next Call of Duty. Like, no, there's probably 400 projects that look just like that, and they're also calling themselves AAA. And you need to understand that it is a self-given title, not necessarily something that other people have bestowed on them. If it's other people that are unbiased bestowing it on them, okay, maybe we can have a conversation, but that's not currently where we're at with most of them. I'm going to tag in Koji. Koji, Parallel was on my list because it's such a beautiful card game. I'm curious where you would rank yourself. AAA, AA, single A, indie, what would you call Parallel?
Oh, don't ask me. When I look at it, all I can think of is all the shit that we've done around MSC6 and Be Beautified and all that stuff. So, I mean, that's not a good question for me, but I will say that like the amount of A's in a game is like the amount of users that we were talking about at the top of the show. It's just like, it's all kind of bullshit, and it doesn't even matter. And you know what Knock was saying about like, you know, there's no game in the space that can go toe to toe with a Call of Duty or something. Like maybe not in like budget and build quality, but like as far as like profits, who knows? You know, like I think that like we have the potential to take down behemoths in this space, and it doesn't matter how many like A's you want to bestow yourself. But honestly, I have a good friend of mine who's used to be a chef at a 3-star Michelin star restaurant. And I asked him, you know, what's the difference between a 3-star restaurant and a 1-star restaurant? And you know what he told me? He said it was money. That's it. Nothing else, just money. And I think the same thing is probably true for the most part when it comes to like, you know, whatever you want to call it, single A, double A, triple A. You know, there's some quality differences maybe in some of these games, but like if you told me Helldivers was a fucking AAA game, I'd be like, fuck yeah, it is, because it's incredible. Like I don't think that these distinctions really matter, because like at the end of the day, what are we doing? We're asking people to like waste time with us, right? That's all it is. It's like spend your free time with me, and if you're having fun doing it, it doesn't matter if you're spending $500 million on it. But to answer the question, to be fair, I really do think it comes down to like game budget and marketing budget, and it's got to be over like 100 mil each or some shit.
Great points. Cesar Martinez in the comments echoes your sentiment. He says, double A, single A, triple A, whatever it is, just give me a game that makes me want to call in sick from work. Helljar says, Illuvium might not be triple A right now, but they will be one day for sure. Matthew Buxton says, will it be one of the most wanted games on console and PC with a Billy in budget? If not, it isn't triple A. Billy, I assume being billion. And then OG says, I agree personally. Idle games are very boring. Shout out to Night Crows, but can't deny there's a market for them, and they're hitting these numbers. There's plenty of other idle games with huge player bases. Links me Steam database. Fair enough. Inhuman also says Night Crows is a great game that's doing a ton of revenue. I just want to show that I'm not biased, and I am willing to read people who say things that I vehemently disagree with, because Night Crows is...
By the way, like willing to take a day off or call in sick from work is like, that's my new favorite phrase. That's gonna be on the wall for wild card. Is like, this has to be a game that's good enough for your
it's got to
willing
be
to
a
call in
Paul
sick from work.
sweatpants day.
Heck yeah! Wait, no. Every day
Bringing
is
out
a
the
sweatpants
fancy
day for me. I'm
sweatpants,
wearing
boys.
sweatpants right now, y'all.
He wore sweatpants to Alpha Night, dude.
That's right.
Hell
That's
yeah,
what you
he
do.
did. Paul with his hair down. Can't beat that. Fridge full of
Heck
Rocky
yeah.
Road. Are you kidding me? I'm sending it to Sinjin to tag him in.
You know, if we go back to the origin of where AAA came from, I don't think there was like any like actually ratings back then, in the sense that, you know, if you look at games as a, you know, hit driven industry, you know, AAA was equivalent to like a blockbuster movie, and we don't use that term anymore either, because, you know, a AAA was meant to like really push the limits on the graphics, on the sound, and you know, um, at that time when, you know, the game industry was kind of transitioning and really maxing out what you could really do visually, um, you know, that became, you know, this kind of origin of AAA, where it's like, holy shit, like this game is a cut above everyone else, because they're really pushing, um, you know, everything. Like, I mean, you got to go out and buy the best PC you can. You got to buy the newest video card, because you can't run this game unless you have it, if you want to run it at like the best fucking graphics. And for me, that still kind of holds true in some sense of like, what did AAA kind of represent? But now it's just become a marketing term, because, you know, and it's almost become an issue where the focus has been on how much polish and how much can we wow players with these graphics, and then it's become almost a standard where if we don't at least maintain that level, you know, we're not considered one of the big boys. And, you know, when a AAA game would be announced back in the day, you'd be like, holy shit, like this is gonna fucking move the needle of the industry. So in that respect, I mean, yes, you know, originally was really, you know, a marketing term of really announcing like, hey, this game is gonna fucking rock the free world. And now it's more of a matter of like, this game is a kind of a standard to where, you know, the big boys are kind of playing. I think it's completely irrelevant to Web3 in the sense that, you know, we're not here to make the most polished looking game. I mean, we are in some respects in terms of a marketing standpoint to say, okay, look, we're comparable to like Web2 games. But I think, you know, obviously the open economy, the tokens, the NFT, the ownership, and all the rest of that, I think that's what makes us, you know, inherently special. And that's what's really going to define things. So, like, you know, um, if we're using AAA, I almost feel like it's a term that has no meaning in Web3, actually.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I also want to give a shout out to OpenSea and My Pet Hooligan. We're going to be playing on their stream tomorrow. It'll be a lot of fun. Last time we played, it was us Web3 boys smoking the Nouns Esports DAO, so they can suck it. We absolutely demolished them. Shout out to Cairo. Knock, I'm tagging you in.
Yeah, I do think that there are like a couple of caveats here. Like there are a lot of teams who say things along the lines of like AAA inspired or AAA style, and I think what that is meant to mean is high fidelity. It means really high quality assets. It means, beautiful to look at. And that's not who I'm talking about. There are plenty of teams who are building AAA style or at least AAA inspired titles that are meant to sort of emulate exactly what Sinjin just kind of walked through. The example that I'll give is play literally any game pretty much anywhere, like not even just native to Web3, but most titles. Play a game and just look at how many things are actually static. And a lot of the times that's done for a variety of reasons, but it's usually some combination of saving resources on the side of like the people who are actually playing the game and try not to melt their fucking computers. But it's also a cost cutting thing, right? Reusing assets or making sure that particular things are static or aren't actually interactable. If you play a title like Overwatch as an example, play Overwatch and really like just look at the environment, look at everything that is happening in a game of Overwatch. There isn't a fucking thing in that game that isn't interactable on the actual champs themselves. There are like little levers and things that are moving on the weapons that they're using. If you're playing like Reinhardt and he has like trinkets off the back of his hammer, each individual trinket is moving. Like it is just such an impressive thing to look at. Like never mind playing whatever you feel about Overwatch is honestly probably pretty valid. I fucking hate what they've done to that game. But if you're playing the game, it's incredibly beautiful to look at. And that type of attention to detail only happens when you have either a massive love for the game or a massive love for the game and a fuckload of money so you can spend the time to make all
Actually,
of
it's
those things
only the
work.
second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either that you worked on it for 20 years or you worked on it for 5 years with all the money.
Exactly. And we just don't see that in this space, right? And to me, like that's the hallmark, at least in my own mind, is the hallmark of what a true AAA title is.
If we can get the last two hands done in the next 3 minutes, I'll sneak in one more topic before we call it a day and give away that Web3 gaming is going to be big hoodie. But real quick, Katie Drake Bettner says, I couldn't get Paul Bettner to wear actual pants, meaning not sweatpants, to GDC at all. And then Paul in the comments says, I packed them, but they never came out of the suitcase.
That's right. And by the way, Knock, that thing you were defining, that's the word, that's where triple I comes from. Triple I is the development budget of a triple A game or close to it, but without the marketing budget, generally speaking.
That's interesting. I've literally never heard triple I before this. Lems and then Jerry, and then we're going to move on.
Well, firstly, I'll just say let's pour one out for what Overwatch used to be in the good old days.
Yes.
It's interesting though, because hotels have stars and they just like denote amenities and services that you have. It's just weird that even in traditional gaming, there's no like defined level. So I guess the moral of the story is it's all labels and bullshit, just like our vanity metrics, and you just have to actually check the game out and the genre and see if you actually liked it, and if not, then whatever, you just move on.
Jerry with the last word.
Yeah, I want to highlight something that, when Justin Lucas and I used to work together, he said that always kind of stuck with me. And that's like, you should probably never call yourself AAA. You should let the industry and your peers bestow that upon you. And if you've done so, you've done a really fucking good job, right? And that's always stuck with me. Who cares what you are, right? Just build cool shit. If it's cool, people will not know what they're fucking talking about and say you're AAA anyway. So it doesn't matter. And I'm never using AAA in my life.
That's where we draw the line. All right, for the last subject today, and I'd love so much if people would play this in the comments with us. We're bringing back goats versus woats. Let's end on a high note, a fun note. Goats versus woats is whenever I give you a category and you have to give me the greatest thing in that category and the worst thing of all time in that category. We previously did consoles, which is where the infamous Jerry saying GameCube is the greatest of all time moment came from. And then we did Nintendo games, which was also a lot of fun. Today we do beloved intellectual properties, okay? I'm talking about Resident Evil, Super Smash Bros, Final Fantasy, Pokemon, Mario, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, Halo, Gears of War, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Dota, League of Legends, Sonic. What's the one that people love that is the worst of all time? What's the one people love that is the best of all time? I'll send it over to Lems to kick us off.
All right. I'm gonna say like the GOAT is it's nostalgic, I think, for everyone. Like Crash Bandicoot was like super nostalgic for me. It is like one of the GOAT IPs. And Final Fantasy is probably gonna actually get the vote from what you listed because I wanted to like the game. I thought it was interesting, but I could just never get into it. It just couldn't grab me. I know so many people that love it. So many of my friends love it, and it just didn't quite do it for me. So RIP Final Fantasy.
Mine is going to be Night Crows. No, I'm just kidding. Jerry, over to you.
That's hilarious. No question, the GOAT IP in gaming is The Legend of Zelda. It's so not close. Anybody who has anything to say other than Legend of Zelda is dead wrong. WOAT, I would say, I'm going to get fucking crucified for this. Banjo-Kazooie.
Wow. No, actually, kind of, I don't hate that answer. I think that's pretty good. Koji, over to you.
I'm gonna one up you there, man. I think the most goated IP of all time in all of gaming history is Dungeons and Dragons, and anyone who says differently is absolutely
It's a
out of their
great
mind
answer.
because every one of these other games came from D&D. So it's got to be that. As far as like worst IP of all time, man, I'm the worst guy to ask that because I hate most of them. I'm with you with like Banjo-Kazooie, Spyro, all that stuff. I don't even like Kirby that much, for being honest. Like, I think they're all honest. Yeah, actually, you know what the worst IP of all time is? Because I've never played any one of those games. Is Pokemon. Fuck that.
Oh
I'm out
my
on
Wow.
Pokemon.
dude, no, don't do this, dude. You know you're being intentionally controversial at the end of the show.
Wait.
I'm out on it. I've never played a single Pokemon game, and I never
How did you
will.
go your whole life with never playing at least one? At least play the OG game and give it a whirl. Like that was a monumental game.
It's on
And I can't
site.
hear
It's on
Lems.
site when
If
I
he's
see you.
berating me, I can't
Yeah,
hear him.
he's unloading on you right now, Cody.
He's saying really, truly awful things about you. I do have to. Okay, so here's the benefit of the doubt that I'll give to Koji. The first like 3 or 4 were amazing, but you're right. If we take the rest of the Pokemons combined, I would absolutely say you're 100% right because it has Madden syndrome and FIFA syndrome where they
What
just
about
do
the
absolutely
shows?
nothing.
Okay, but
The
were they
shows and the
amazing?
movies?
Okay, but hold on. Were they amazing or were we 8 years old? Like I don't
Two
know,
things.
And
Two things
I
can be
knew, by
true.
the way,
Two
I
things are
knew
true.
Pokemon was gonna be the thing. I knew it was gonna be the thing. But like I'm let down by Pokemon continuously. I love the Pokemon IP so much. I love the cards. I love the concept, the genre, the cartoons even. But the games, like, come on. It is the biggest letdown of what they could be. Whereas you look at something like Zelda, every game is a fucking masterpiece of its generation. You cannot say that about Pokemon. You just can't. And that's to me a letdown, given that it is literally the largest, most successful IP in the world. So the games let it down. I just have to say that.
Yo, Paul, back in my good books after big timing me at GDC. You're back in, baby.
Paul
Oh man.
just
Had to
said
do
it.
something. Had to do it at the last moment here.
Paul just said it. We're talking about the IP. We're not talking about the games. Done. There you go. Most successful IP ever. Right? Is that not a
It is.
pretty?
It's the most. It is the largest, like by dollar by dollar amount. Like most valuable is Pokemon.
It's not about
There's a
money though. It's about your favorite ones. The special ones, the ones that matter to you.
And the ones that piss you off the most too. I just anything that has not improved or changed meaningfully in like 10 plus years is dead to me. It's so uninspiring. So Call of Duty, Madden, FIFA, NBA, 2K, or whatever the more recent one is, Pokemon, all these things that are just milking a fan base with absolutely nothing new to offer. Even Pokemon, you could say, oh, they had Pokemon Go. Well, they had Pokemon Go like 10 years ago, and it was cool
Pokemon
for like
Snap.
it was amazing for like a week, and then I'm mad again that they decided to just do nothing interesting with it. I'm feeling spicy today, guys. I'm sorry. Usually I don't chime in this much, but I got the music in me. Helljar
We
says
love it.
Counter Strike is the best of all time. Donkey Kong is the worst of all time. That's a pretty
No,
interesting one. Caesar Martinez says GOAT IP is Mario Bros because of how they've been able to dominate the game in many formats. That's a good point. He says the worst probably Sonic. Oh, that's a good one. Sonic kind of sucks. Goated IP says Cairo is Super Mario, Everyone knows Super. Oh, he does. I thought the second line was going to be the worst of all time. The right dude says GOAT is Star Wars. The WOAT is Mario. What? The WOAT is Mario. All right, Sinjin, tagging you in next.
Yeah, I would say, as a, RTS MOBA player, I think Warcraft 3, just because the characters have endured, through Dota All Stars to Dota to LOL. And, if you trace back the lineage of some of these characters that come all the way back there, worst of all time, Axie Infinity.
I don't know. I don't know if we could call that an IP to the same level of Mario and Zelda yet, but I'll let you get away with that one. Zach D says GOAT is Warcraft. WOAT is Heroes of New Earth, another one that maybe not really an IP that's
Wow.
done a lot, but yeah, okay, I'll give you that one.
Yo, he must have skipped the Warcraft movie then, because
Jesus,
oof,
dude.
We
what a
don't talk about
stinker.
that.
Yeah, don't remind me. I was at like the midnight release of that thing. I was like, this is going to be a life-changing moment. It was. It
Love
made
that
me
movie.
bitter. That's why I'm upset right now on this space. Connor from Xborg, I'm going over to you. What's the greatest of all time and what's the worst of all time when it comes to game IPs?
For me, I really loved Ratchet and Clank from like their
That's a
first
good one.
game. I love it, love it. It's just my favorite, and I think they keep innovating. And I played the most recent game, and I fucking love it as well. It's perfect. And then WOAT, I would say, never really got Mario. Never fucked with it. I just don't get it.
Wow, dude, Mario's catching some strays. I do have to give you credit. Ratchet and Clank was one of my absolute favorites for a very long time. Being a kid and getting to upgrade those weapons and like you can fire tornadoes and do all sorts of weird like magnetic shit. It was so creative and it just made these like really, really interesting experiences all the time. Cairo was blasting me with a thumbs down. Appreciate you, bro. Mr. Wild Paul, you had the hand up a second ago. What's up?
Well, I was just inspired by the Dungeons and Dragons reference, so I wanted to throw a wild one out there, which is Legos. So Legos is the family brand that we've all grown up with, and I just think that the way they've navigated that IP over the years has just been fucking brilliant. There's been great games, there's been great movies, and then the reinvention of Legos themselves in the kit form, from just like the loose piece form to what it is today, and how they are embracing IP, and now how they're making this UGC format where people can, with Lego Ideas, I think it's called or whatever, where people can invent their own ideas, vote for them in the community, and then you could see those come to life in the actual store that you can go buy that was somebody else's idea. Just fucking brilliant. Lego is like one of my favorite IP and brands in the world right now.
NTIA in the comments, big shout out. Great to see you again, man. He says the GOAT is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the WOAT is Hello Kitty. Demoge Wolf says the greatest is Tomb Raider and the worst is Tony Hawk. Oh, that one hurts me. That one
What?
hurts me personally. Jesus. Pirate Master Murdoch says Pokemon has new generations and megas and ultras and more. Y'all clearly don't know anything about Pokemon and it's a shame. I'm sorry, Murdoch, thanks for not being too mean to me. Doug Hype says GOAT is Mario. It made gaming and it's always pretty good. The WOAT is EA. I love football but Madden, the same game every damn year. Pushes to get money. I agree, man. You heard me scream about it. Knock, I'm tagging you in. What's the GOAT and what's the WOAT?
Gonna give you two sidebars really quickly. One, everybody who said Mario is the load is fucking crazy. I don't know what you're playing or what you're watching or if you've got eyes, but you're wrong. The second side note is the better version of the Mario IP is the Crash Bandicoot IP. That's the real fucking kart racing game. CTR, incredible. Everything that Bandicoot has ever done, fucking amazing. Fuck all you guys for the thumbs down. I'll
Love you,
give.
Knock.
Yo, can I take back a thumbs up? Is that
Sorry?
possible? So can I take back a thumbs up somehow? Is that
No,
possible?
no,
Because
you
that
just scam
second
a bunch
take
of
was,
thumbs down. I will
god
say this
damn.
though. Both my woat and my goat are Pokemon. For the same reason that a lot of people have already mentioned, Pokemon up to like Gen 4 was like a fucking life moment. The
Yes.
Pokemon movies, going to the movie theaters, collecting the cards. I still have the Mew, like the weird, like unknown Mew
Me
that they gave you
too.
at the Pokemon, like when you're going to watch the movie. Like it was absolutely incredible. Gold and Silver specifically, and the remakes, Heart Gold and Silver, are two of the best fucking games ever. I don't know why they walked away from 16 badges per game, but that was just incredible. And then now it's like they've run out of animals and trees to name as Pokemon, so it's just like 63 different versions of ducks and like fucking ice cream cones and shit. Like I don't know what happened to the Pokemon IP. The movies are whack. They had one of the best things of all time, and they've just slowly diluted and watered down what that is. Mega evolutions are fucking dope though. So whoever said that in the comments, like, yeah, big +1 to Mega Evolutions. I'm literally playing Poke Rogue right now. It's a fucking incredible game. It's my GOAT and my WOAT IP.
There are so many great comments, and again, I just want to remind you guys how much that means to me. It's so fun to read. We got Van Ho saying the GOAT is Tekken, the WOAT is Grand Theft Auto. Wow, that's a bold one. I didn't even
Oh,
think
come
about
on.
GTA. Yeah, I don't know if I could put that in the WOAT, but she could do what she could do. John Weiss says Marvel is the GOAT and Anthem is the WOAT. He also says Fortnite maybe in the GOAT category in the near future. 6K Jimmy says Diddy Kong Racing is the real kart game. I think he just wanted the smoke. He didn't play the game at all. He just threw that in there. And let's see. Taurus Resh says, I think I'll probably say this and people will hate it, but the GOAT is between the Warcraft universe and the Final Fantasy universe. The worst I would have to say is Yu-Gi-Oh! That's also an interesting one. Thank you guys so much for playing. We'll keep reading them. Andy from Stardust, over to you.
All right, I like knock. I had to get on. I raised my hand when I heard like all the Mario FUD. Now I got pissed because I was thinking to myself, "What the fuck? I have been playing Mario for 30 fucking years. Like that's insane. Like that's crazy. Like consistently playing one IP. Like I stopped playing Pokemon years ago, like regularly, but not Mario. I'm playing Mario Strikers. I'm playing Mario Baseball. I'm playing Mario Tennis. I'm playing all the new racing games are coming out with. Like I'm in my 30s now.
Yeah, dude's a fucking D1 athlete in Mario games.
I mean, yeah, actually though, I'll take anyone. But the other thing I wanted to say, WOAT, is this is just me, personal vendetta. Tom Nook from Animal Crossing. Fuck Tom Nook. Fuck Tom Nook. Fuck that fucking guy. I hate that guy.
Somebody clip it. It was behind the Stardust account. I don't know who said it. Dub from Shrapnel, your GOAT and your WOAT IP.
Jesus Christ, dude, this has been fucking wild. The GOAT for me is actually Star Fox. Star Fox told the most beautiful story known to man and known to gaming history, so much so I got it tattooed on my body, and it's gonna ride with me until I die. The WOAT is gonna literally
Photos that it
have
didn't happen. I don't care where the tattoo is.
that. The WOAT is gonna literally have Sinjin booking a plane or calling an assassin to kill my ass, but it's Dota, because they literally like look like they're just a knockoff of League at this
Oh my
point, even though
god.
Oh man,
they came
you're
out first,
dead.
and they just can't even seem to like tell an
End the
interesting
sponsorship,
story to
Sam.
League players alone.
Thumb
Bro,
down
don't
this man.
fucking
Thumb
answer
him
your
down.
door. I'm getting you swatted.
And Andy just completely left the space for the Stardust guy. He couldn't handle the shame anymore. Knock, tagging you in, then we're going to wrap this bad boy up.
Yeah, I actually just wanted to throw in an honorable mention, which was League and the League ecosystem, because like Dub, every version of the League thing is infinitely better than the Dota thing. The auto chess is better, the MOBA is better. ARAM is the best, worst thing that ever happened to gaming. I can't fucking stand the game, but I also can't stop playing it. And more importantly, the shows. Have you seen the Dota show? It's fucking terrible. Have you watched anything that Riot has put out from the Riot version of the shows? It's one of the best things that's been released on Netflix in the last fucking 10 years.
Arcane is incredible.
Arcane is so good, and the Dota thing, I can't even remember its name. League is better.
Yeah, the
See?
Dota. You fucking noobs.
All right. Next Wolves Den is doubling as a fight club.
Both those games suck, guys. I hate to tell
Oh,
you.
dude, he's still playing Binding of Isaac.
Terrible. Yeah,
You can't
exactly.
click
The
without,
one good game.
saying you can't click.
Wow, yeah, Koji, what happened to Binding of Isaac, man? You're just going to throw them under the bus? They're not the greatest of all time, huh?
No, it's my favorite game, but definitely not the greatest IP. I'm the only realist on this panel. Can see past my own bias to tell you what is good and what is shit. Pokemon and Dota and League and all those games, shit. Fucking whatever I said was the best is the best. D&D, best.
This guy doesn't even
Steam.
know.
Fair play, fair play. The last winner of the day for that the Shrapnel X Stardust Web3 Gaming is going to be big. Hoodie is going to Van Ho. Van Ho, if you want to slide in my DMs, I'll make sure we collect that address and get it sent out to you. Well, Dub is going to do it. So thanks, Dub. Appreciate you. But the Wolves Den stuff is coming from me, and it's a nightmare. Jesus, I hate shipping stuff. But I'll do it for you guys because I love you so much. And as we holster our heroics and bring down the banner on this breathtaking battleground of Game of 5, let's lend a roaring round of applause to the Titans and Trailblazers who have turned the tides in our favor. Shrapnel, the crown champion and official game of Gamified in the sprawling saga of FPS supremacy. Shrapnel emerges as an elite envoy, masterminding a maelstrom of might and munitions. Each strategic strike and calculated clash crafts a chronicle of chaos and courage. And let's cast a spotlight on the icy innovator, the foundation of our fantastical foray into the fusion of finance and fun. Avalanche, the official blockchain of Gamified. We got the Gaming on AVAX account up here as a co-host. Make sure you guys give them a follow. They've got incredible stuff coming out. They're meme lords. They do all the good stuff in Web3. They unleash a thunderous ovation for Avalanche, our Arctic architect, valiantly vaulting through the virtual vortex, etching pathways of pristine precision. And before we end today's show, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Stardust, the official infrastructure of Gamified. This formidable force now fields a fully managed user acquisition, DSP, and performance marketing marvel, meticulously molding the masses into consumers monetizing in your metaverse. With Stardust, stellar strategy suffused with Web3 secrets, snare sublime players at scale, securing sky-high LTV users at a snip of the cost. Thank you to Stardust. You can see us here, same time, same place. And if you guys are fans of Simplified as well, Simplified is actually moving to Gamified's time. So it'll be same thing, 4 p.m. Eastern every single week, but on Monday instead of Wednesday. We're going to have some consistency across the board there. And of course, I got to give a huge shout out to the Wolves DAO, always co-hosting us. I stopped advertising them because they're just crushing it at such a degree that we can't handle any more fucking applications, for the love of God, especially with the Soulbound token stuff going on. So with that being said, shout out to the Wolves DAO. I love them more than life itself. Just absolutely incredible people. And of course, all of our amazing panelists. We got Dub. We got Icy behind the Wolves DAO account today, too. Just big shout out to Icy for being an absolute legend. Dub behind the Shrapnel account, one of my absolute favorites every week. Sinjin always bringing the honesty, the forthrightness, and grounding us in our actual merit, I'll say. Koji, of course, always staying humble. Amazing products behind Parallel, always. Wild Paul, man, the show's just different whenever you're around, bro. It means the world to me that you make time for this. My co-host with the most, we got Lems. Connor from Xborg, an absolute machine. Whenever I get to say his record, a 3-time water polo champion, Rocket League champion, the man's just a winner. It's great to have you every time. And of course, Jerry, the business development guru himself. Thank you guys. And Andy from Stardust, he had to jet for a meeting, but thank you so much for giving me another 2 hours of your life. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you back same time, same place next week.
We love you, Spicy Sam.
Love you, Sam. But get ready to 1v1 me mid Pudge.
Dota versus League.
Say 1v1. Only noobs say that.
1v1 me mid Pudge.